Boom! Greetings and salutations, beautiful people. Welcome to the Midday Show. That right there is your boy Joey Options, and I'm Sharif. And yes, I'm Long Wolf. So we'll see what happens over here. It's selling a little bit here, Joseph, so we'll talk about that in a second.
All right,
but
then. Before
we do, let's say hi to everybody after this fine long weekend. We got Adara, we got Darwin, we got Black Hawk, KJP, Gorev, Nightbot, we got Casual. Shout out to everybody there. Pelosi, Stong Trader, shout out to GB and Anon Perse. Micah, Frank Trades, Anish, we got Gotham, we got Alan, Marvy Earth, shout out to CompuCare, boom, right back at you, baby. We got Yannick, All Things Trump, and Daily One Trade. Curly Fries Flattener, I like that. Bax, Jake Roberts, Snake, Bora, Kapow, Travman, shout out to Matt Fitzpatrick and Rogelio Concepcion. We got Shaubo, Mike P. DeRider, Julie B, the realist. We got Vern. How about Moon Rocket Products? And etc. Dude 5, we got Fabian Smith, not our Fabian, Just Living, Bobby Oxalis, excuse me, I completely screwed that up, and Mark Haley. Guys, I am in a full state of fatigue, so hopefully I won't be too bad of a trader today, but we're doing it freaking live.
Oh,
we're here, Joseph. We showed up to work. I'm extremely tired, and you're not supposed to trade when you're really tired, so hopefully we won't screw this up too much. Good morning, my man.
Good morning. I mean, Sharif and I are in the exact same boat today, and hopefully we're going to try to keep it afloat, my friend, and it doesn't sink. But we're going to get I'm sure within a couple of minutes, we're going to get energized, and we'll waken up after we put on a couple of bangers. But yeah, it was just a full-fledged abundance of sun absorbed from your boy this week. We were outside all day, every day, at the outdoor workout gym, 8:30, and then just riding bikes, running the path, just being absolutely insane. But what we want to talk about, guys, is the trading that we got going on. Enough of what we were doing on the weekend. Now, why did Joe short NVDA? Well, I can tell you one thing, because we talk about it all the time, and I was looking for some size at that 160 strike 1 second there at that 160 strike to be lifted, and it wasn't. So I'm just essentially looking to fade any pops on this name right now. We did take our first attempt. We get stopped out at the back of the range, at the top end of the range, sorry. But what does that do? That sets us up for a better opportunity as well. So you start once the thesis really is working out. That's when you add aggressively, and we take some. And we did eventually get stopped out break even. And I want to talk about taking more entries on, especially when the setup is telling you to do so. But even though I did not, but we're going to go to Adara, and then we'll talk about that right after.
Benign MSFT, I'm seeing reports that apparently the company is announcing its Azure Accelerate program to boost cloud services. So more cloud services here for MSFT, announcing its Azure Accelerate program. Back to you.
Yes, okay. Before we send it back, sports and stonks, a little red, man. That's what happens when you're just chilling and posting up in the sun all day, every day during the weekend. But anyways, guys, you can see these lower highs starting to be formed here. So you can put it as that wedge, and then now you have that level of support. So it's like every time it runs into this trend line, it's like you should fade it, and especially when you're going off a big thesis like this. So here I have my NVDA options chain up, and we've been looking at this for the past couple of weeks. And then now, I believe if we're going to continue this appreciation in price, this is what we need to happen. This needs to be lifted, those need to expire, or they need to move to a completely different strike price, all right? So they either need to cool off, but other than that, every move into and or around 160, maybe slightly above, slightly below, I'm going to be looking for the fades on this specific name until that size is removed from 160. But now this is just putting our money where our mouth is, essentially just trying to run the system, utilizing call and put walls for trade opportunities, and that's exactly what I'm trying to present to you. Lost Trader, that's very interesting that you have the ability to put that in the chat like there. I've never seen anything like that. But anyways, thank you, Lost Trader, for the like and subscribe. I don't know if we're allowed to continuously do that, and people please don't follow suit.
I'm really rich.
Big smile, Burdette. Shout out to my man in the chat. $4.99. Can I read that one?
Let me read it first.
Yeah. The liability.
You can read
I can read it?
Yeah, you can read that one.
Adara vetted it. Okay. So did Joe. Two bros with no kids talking about being tired is hilarious. Yeah, we're not allowed to be tired, Joseph. What did you two eat? Some potato salad and just destroyed your mood ring readings? What is happening here? Where are all these assumptions coming from? Adara, get him, Adara. You can't just let him drop.
I will say, I wasn't going to say anything, but then we have this super chat from Big Smile. Big Smile, shout out to you, Mr. Burdett. And I was kind of thinking as well, you know, you guys are talking about how it's hard to trade while tired. As someone who's tired basically every second of the day, I got to say, you know, sometimes you just gotta get them trades in. You have to be aware, of course, of your levels of exhaustion. But I just wanted to chime in on that, and Big Spell gave me a bit of an opportunity.
If there's a person around these parts that can show some sympathy for fatigue, it is Adara Lepage.
It's Adara,
so, you know, we're gonna.
But hey, man, what do you mean?
Definitely not Big Smile.
And Kyle, stop it. I have a fur baby. I think that is equally as responsible as me. I don't. Actually, I can't even speak for it, so I'm not gonna go down that road. But anyways, long story short, I was up at 3 a.m. letting the guy out who doesn't even want to go to the washroom but decides to nip at my face, indicating that he does. So, yeah, I'm tired.
What's going on, Ricardo Libre? See you,
what's up,
sir.
brother?
Look, guys, you guys know now, you know, the drinking, it's been, for me anyway, it's been done for almost a year, so nobody was drinking on the weekend. But the sun, Joseph, just saps all the energy out of you, especially if you're in it for a prolonged period of time. I happen to be, that's on me, but hey, how many long weekends do we get?
Exactly.
So, that are running counter to Canadian holidays. So that's a lot. All right, guys, let's get right down to work, man. Enough about us being tired. That's our problem, not yours. We're looking live here on VOR. We just got into this position, Joseph, a moment ago. Long 52s looking for this one to continue to hold pattern. So we haven't taken any prints on there, but where we've taken a plethora of prints, WOLF, alas. This one is continuing to put in lower highs and lower lows. It does look like it is bull flagging. I have a good entry price at 15s. However, I don't like the sustained downtrend right now with lower lows and lower highs, but it does seem like it is putting in a bull flag. So where the bottom ends up being, whether it's at VWAP or $2, which are not that far away from each other right now in the current price chart. So we'll keep tabs on that. SY looking real good over here. This one looking to take out the tops, higher lows and higher highs here on SY. It's up to the up about 35% on the day. There's a lot of small cap gappers that I'm keeping my eye on. A lot of them are not giving up the ghost in the sense that they are continuing to run trend. There was this one breaking out while the big boys were finishing up their show. VIOT, oh baby. We got up into that 278 area quick as you like. 3 topping tail candles in a row. Alas, that's the ugly side. The good side is, believe it or not, 3 topping tails or not in a row, we're still above the 10 EMA on the 5 and VWAP. So we'll have to see if this one can change its tune and start trending to the high side. So that's what I'm looking at right now. We're in VOR, we're in SY, we're in WOLF. WOLF likely will not be, I won't be in it for much longer. If it continues to trade in this way. I don't have to dollar cost average into an oblivion on this name. I can get out and then get back in once it sets up again. How many more shares do I have left? I still have some, so I'd like to extract all of them out, you know, whether or not if it's for a small amount. I want to set up again on Wolf. It's just not showing me what I need. What it will show me, or what I do need for it to show me, if I can say that ineloquently over here, is a print above the prior buyer high, which takes it above 222. So if it can show me a 223 print on a closing basis, that'll be the first 5-minute candle to make a new high. So we're involved in VOR, we're involved in WOLF, and we're looking to the high side right now. About to take a next print here on SY if it'll cross above 38. There's a seller of size here at 38 on SY, not to be, it's just not surprising to me because that is the high of the day, 438, and there he goes. He just got destroyed at that level. Watch out for your shorts, whoever you're sitting there at the high of the day on SY, because you're about to get run over, my man. 439 high day, Joseph, up 35%.
Yeah, okay, so guys, I'm short IBIT, but it's not looking too good. I have no worries about flipping this. So now we're on the backside of this trend, and if the market wants to sell, maybe Bitcoin will start to roll over. But yeah, I have my stop at 65s. If it reaches there, then that's fine. I have no issues of waiting for a pullback and then to join the long, because I am still slightly bullish on a Bitcoin that is here, guys. So I have a couple options questions in the chat. One's going to go from Wick Bets. Does more open interest mean there's a lot of volume short? Trying to understand your correlation. Absolutely. But then we also have a super chat here. Hey, Joe, want to learn to use call and put walls. Appreciate your help. Perfect. I love the two answers, and we're going to touch on that right now. I'm just focusing on this. I'm going to get stopped out because I believe that Bitcoin is a long now, guys, and that's totally fine. Small loss. Not worried about this one whatsoever. All right, so now let's break this down here relatively quick. And there's a good question, and I'm just going to be totally honest with you, as I always am, all right? So, NVDA 160 strike price, we're seeing 93,000 current open contracts. I don't know who's long or short. But you got to think about it, for every buyer, there's a seller, vice versa, all right? So half of those contracts are someone is short those contracts, and then the other half, the other people are long. There's always an opposite party to that trade. So what happens when you have a bunch of contracts at 160 and you're seeing the price continuously reject that? Well, why are they continuously rejecting that? Because when you are short those options, the objective is for them to expire out the money so you can collect the full premium. If they are now expiring in the money, that essentially means that now you're going to be signed X amount of shares of NVDA at 160. All right, so you don't want to be short NVDA at 160. So essentially what I'm getting at here is that every time you start to run into these large call walls through the open interest, right, that's what we're looking for, is that you're going to start to see some downward pressure. And the opposite on the put side. You run into a put wall, then you can see buyers and hedgies, as Neil likes to say, start to hedge against the position and buying the stock, making it climb higher on the put side. But then on the call side, what happens is now those hedgies are putting downward pressure because they want those contracts to expire out the money. So it's just continuously flushing and rejecting of that specific level. So when you see high levels of open interest on either the call or the put wall, is what you're looking to participate on what the hedge funds are doing and move with that downward pressure. And then when you exceed that is usually when you see a massive volume spike as well too. So if NVDA were to blow through 160 today, you're going to see a massive amount of volume step in. Why? Because now they're starting to cover, and now that's when you get that cover rally and slight gamma squeezes. So essentially I'll try to summarize this all. When I see a call wall, I am looking to short in and around those levels to participate with the hedge funds because they want their short contracts to expire out of the money. Sharif.
All right, guys.
And thank you for the super chats.
Absolutely. Always goes without saying that we are very thankful about that. All right, Tampada, what's your opinion of the big old buy candle on Circle on the 5? Yeah, I see that breach of VWAP, my man. Let's bring in the old side chart over here, and we'll have a look at the 5 as dictated by Tampanda. Shout out to Wainers. So have a look over here. CRCL. What do we get? We got a bottoming tail candle that ended up closing as a hammer candle. It did breach VWAP. So if you had your stop, for whatever reason, below the volume weighted average price, before watching the candle close, you got stopped out. Now, that's the annoying part of it, because you say to yourself, hey, you know, if I just gave it a little bit of room, or if you weren't involved in the trade, you say to yourself, oh, I should have just had a resting order at VWAP. Okay. Don't feel too bad about it, because what I still see here, Tampanda, is still lower highs. So even though we do have that beautiful bounce with that hammer candle that closed above the volume weighted average price and now has worked its way back above 200, we're still getting lower highs. It's still a downward channel, but it does feel like it might be bull flagging. Whether or not we end up holding this level really will have to do whether buyers step in at the volume weighted average price. At least that's how I see it. Look for a decided break of the downtrend, though, as another thing to keep your eye out on. So if you get a very clear higher high as opposed to all the lower highs we're putting in right now, that could be another entry for you. So let me know how that all goes. All right, VOR, quite happy with how we traded this, but have exhausted our shares. This thing is up almost 40% in scalp, 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 all the way up, and then we're done quick as you like. On Wolf, positive on this one as well, but I got out. And the reason, again, I got out is because that downtrend is still in effect. Since we put in that 249 high, that candle, on the 5-minute that we closed out at 10:35, we have been putting in lower lows and lower highs. That fly has a death wish, bro. If I had a towel, a heavier towel that I can whip with, that fly would be dead. And I'd leave it out to send a message to all the other flies.
Friends.
Yeah, they got to see the, the dead one sitting right there.
There's an episode of Breaking Bad where Walter White is going crazy because there's a fly in his laboratory, and this fly has been reminding me of that. So.
Yeah, well, Walter White, he's got some chemicals and stuff that he has to worry about.
Yeah, but I got to punch keys here, man. And the fly,
straight up, straight up. Now you got to send a message though. Joseph. Send a message. You know what I mean, like the mob does, right? We got to.
Well, we hang them right here in the middle, right in there. Leave them right there.
They ain't gonna be nobody. Yeah. So, can you tell we're tired? All right, I'll play it.
Yeah.
So Wolf, I'm out. Right. So look, if this one wants to touch the volume weighted average price or $2 or wherever it's going to find support, I see price action support in the low 190s owing to this area top over here. Then obviously you have VWAP. You also have the whole dollar at 2. So there's multiple areas of possible support for WOLF. Where and what level it ends up choosing or the market ends up choosing, your guess is as good as mine. I'm not going to try and guess. I'm going to look to see where it put in a definitive bottom, and then the subsequent price action shows me a trend change. What do I mean? For example, a touch into that $2 area, maybe the candle closes in and around 2. The subsequent candle, though, I'd like to see a higher high. Maybe not a higher low. Maybe it ends up making another low, and then it ends up being a bullish engulfing. Whatever the case may be, I need to see a trend change. I'll get back into WOLF, but not what it looks like this. So happy with my trade on VOR. We're still looking to do some damage here, though, on SY. Still holding some shareage. We've got layers. We've got our orders layered. The best print I had here was 1 penny off the high of the day, and that was at 438. The high of the day is 439. I didn't add onto this one, and then now, having looked at it a little bit more thoroughly, it seems to me here, at least on, on a very perfunctory analysis, that the money fills seem to be, like we've talked about many times, in between here, the 10 and the 20 exponential moving averages on the 5. Case in point, you get a 4-candle retracement starting from around 10.05 to 10.20, and then look what it does. It breaches the 10 on a wick basis, ends up closing above it. You did it again over here. This candle over here, 11.10, breaches the 10 exponential, goes down about 420, 421, and then ends up closing above it. So SY maybe showing its hand a little bit here. Maybe not its hand, maybe the algo that's trading its hand, where it's looking for the money fills in between the 10 and the 20 exponential. Doesn't happen on all of them, but when they do happen, they tend to happen repetitively, more than once. Yeah. So we'll see if that ends up being the case or not, Joseph.
Yeah, absolutely. How do you guys keep putting that stuff in the chat there?
Bobo.
On that. Yeah.
What's going on over there, Bobo?
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I don't know. Anyways, but what a stupendous confectionery. But yeah, anyways, IBIT. Let's see if we can get long here, guys, get the retest of this downtrend, or we break through. So this is exactly what I'm looking at. Why did I get out of this short? Well, because we cracked it. We opened up on the 5-minute time frame right above that, and now we're coming back into retest. Let's get a little bit more precise here, guys, with our trend lines, because I think that's going to be really important. And it's the exact same thing with the likes of NVDA that we got going on. And surprisingly so, I was really surprised to see that Bitcoin was trading within that 108 range throughout the whole weekend. The longer we consolidate up here, the more fear that gives me, because if there was enough participants, enough demand to go higher, I think we would have done so already, and I'm already long some contracts. So yeah, I'm just kind of thinking out loud, but there it is. Bitcoin's starting to come back in. I'm not going to chase it just yet, Sharif. I will be patient on this one to see what's going on this potential retest, or that we're going to just break down. This was a liquidity grab. It got me. So now the objective would be is, okay, what do I do? If we start to approach this level and then you can see the volume and the momentum start to pick up and more healthy candles, then at that point, I'm convinced I can go long. But if we reject and fail to get to as high as that previous pivot, then maybe we can look for the continuation to the short side. But if you ask me what the market's been doing throughout the session isn't the easiest of trading. I didn't like anything particularly that much, and I waited for the open to kind of build my thesis on NVDA because I wanted to see where that open interest was going to lay or if it moved. And then that's why I decided to take a short. There is only about 22,000 contracts at 64 on IBIT, which isn't substantial whatsoever. So that's not enough for me to take a short. And you got to think that's also a couple points away. So we can appreciate and we can climb to those prices. And I think around 64 is going to put Bitcoin at an all-time high. I'm just not sure if we're ready to get there yet, but I am going to take a long position on this because we now have failed to establish a new low. We're bouncing off of this and you can see this nice strong trend line right here. And then there we go. I'll risk about 10 cents on this one, so that'll put me right around here. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. That's fine. You start with whatever you want, 100, couple hundred share, whatever you would like, but then you have that 10 cents risk. You break through that support level, then the thesis is invalid. And if that's the case, then you just move on and you look for the next trade. So that's what I got going on there. I would like for another continuation in NVDA, but I believe that ship has sailed, Sharif, and that playbook has kind of left. Even though we were talking about that 160 level, that downtrend line, there is some indecision at those extreme lows with the volume supporting it. So I'm not going to be shorting that. And I believe the long has already left as well too. So just keep that in mind. You could slowly curl over, but right now my hyper focus is on Bitcoin.
All right, guys, VOR is taking out highs. 69 or 68, whatever the previous high was, is gone. It's now 70. The sellers have kind of reorganized there. We'll see if we can take out the seller at 70. It's up 41%. I don't want to say this is not doing good volume. I mean, it's a $2 and change name, almost $3. But it's done 21.75 million shares, and the spread is 1 penny. So I like everything about it so far. Now, we're exhausted our shares on it, so I've got to wait for another trade. But as I've mentioned, I kind of feel that this, well, it's not this one that actually has the money fills between the 10 and the 20. This one only has one where that breached the 10 and the 10 and was above the 20. It was this candle over here at 10.35. For the most part, though, this one has held the 10 exponential. So if I do enter, it'll initially be off a retracement into the 10, and then if we'll have a planned dollar cost average for that level. Adara, is there anything on Baidu when you weasel up there? Because it's up 4.5%, and I don't know what the hell is going on with this name. I appreciate that, Adara. Thank you. So we're going to find out what's going on with Baidu over there. Li Auto as well. That piece of garbage is up 3.7%. It's a mixed bag today in Chinese ADR world. You've got like Bilibili up 7.75. What's happening there? DIY is up 2.5%. And then you got DQ, JKS, some of the solar names down 9.75% and 4% respectively. XBEV, after having a fantastic week, is down 4 1/5. But then you got NEO down 2. Li Auto is up 3.7. So I'm not sure how to square that circle. We'll find out if there's anything in Chinese ADR world. We're going to Adara when we get the call. Cecino? Oh, I'm not plugged in. She's muted. Okay, she's muted. We'll wait until she's muted. Okay, we're good. Okay, we're good.
I don't have any news on these guys. Just wanted to let you know I did check quite a few of these names. The one thing that we did have, and timing-wise, I'm not sure if it's this spike. I think it happened a little bit later. But we did have Scott Bessent saying that China and the U.S. could work things out, but only if it's not necessarily just trade. There's other things I guess they want to do it. If they're going to do it, they want it to involve some other issues. And by do it, they mean, I guess, make a deal that would get interesting wording, to be sure. We're going to have to wait and find out what that means, but that came out in China this morning again, a little bit later than this spike. We got around 8. It came out around 8:30, and nothing to explain this pop at the open. Still looking into it, guys. Back to you.
Hit that, Adair. Thank you very much.
You have anything? I would touch on.
Go ahead, brother.
Yeah,
Go
cool.
ahead.
Sounds good. All right, guys. So this is what I'm thinking. NVDA short thesis. I'm not too sure if what you mean by that, but yeah, we will see. That's exactly what time always does. It tells you whether you're going to be right or wrong.
Bless you.
Bless you. So yeah, I think on this one, I said I'm going to give it 10 cents. I'm not going to be as lenient with this here, guys. I'm going to give it just a little bit south of the volume weighted average price because I don't want to get caught up in chop. But one thing to note, I did add slightly aggressive on this trade here now, guys. So there's not much more positioning I can get in. If we do crack, and the reason why I did add right here is because I'm looking for the break of this pivot. So the longer we take, I think the less chance that this thesis has to work out. But we are sitting on the backside of this trend, so that is something positive that we have that is going to that can work out for us. And if the market decides that it wants to slowly climb back towards the volume weighted average price, hopefully you can see the buying and the participants start to step in. But there we go. Let's go. Volume step in. The volume profile is absolutely brutal. I'm not even gonna hide from that whatsoever. We needed to drastically pick up there, guys. And there it goes.
Get it, Joe.
There we go. We're starting to punch through. We're starting to break through. And if it does start to increase, there we go. This is exactly what we like to see here, guys. Bang. I had no issues with flipping this one long. I was short initially, and I'm like, okay, nope, you know what, I'm wrong. Flip that thesis, but going back and forth isn't always the best. Make sure you have a bit of conviction behind your trading plan, and then that will help you do so, all right? But other than that, I'm not tilted. You don't want to have that tilt where you're back and forth. That's where you get chopped up. And that's when I was referring to earlier. I'm not going to be as lenient with this, and I have no issues with moving on if it breaks VWAP and doesn't want to continue because I don't want to get caught in the chop. I want to find nice trending stocks. But one thing that is trending nice today, Sharif,
yes, sir.
That is BTBT, as I've seen multiple people in the chat referencing this one here. So it's looking pretty good, a nice trend. See, this is the hard thing for me. The first 15 minutes, choppy. Look at those indecision prints on the 5. For me, I would struggle with that, and you've seen that on the like of NVDA. But as long as you're patient, you have your stops in place, you watch for those continuously higher lows, and then sure enough, you'll be able to get in. But just don't panic because the first 5-10 minutes can be extremely volatile and chop you up. That's for sure, Sharif.
Go ahead, Adair.
We're going to Adair. Sorry, guys.
Just keep an eye on Robinhood here. We had CNBC publishing. Apparently, there's some more scrutiny around Robinhood's stock tokens deal that they announced on, I guess it was last month. It was about a week ago now. So in case you guys missed it, they announced, I guess, the ability to trade tokenized stocks of OpenAI and SpaceX in Europe. Well, we had OpenAI expressing some discontent with this deal, for lack of a better term, that came through on Wednesday. Now the Bank of Lithuania saying they've contacted Robinhood and they're awaiting clarifications regarding the structure of this deal. So again, now we have both OpenAI and the Bank of Lithuania a little bit concerned here about Robinhood's stock tokens for private companies in the EU. Stock not reacting too much, pretty choppy, but just be aware, Robinhood on watch here, getting more scrutiny on those private company stock tokens. Back to you.
Yeah, so this was from Joe's getting really amped up right now.
Yeah, but I know about the tokenization, but I honestly must have missed that part where they said now you can trade all these private companies.
Well, yeah, that's so they're going to bring you very coveted private companies like SpaceX, OpenAI through tokenization on the blockchain. However, Altman and company, when they announced that, when your boy Vlad dropped that headline last week, came out and was like, yo, this is not equity in the company. This is whatever they're advertising it is. You don't hold direct equity. So he kind of put put the
stop on that.
Yeah. Well, whether or not it ends up being, I love the idea.
Yeah.
I can see regulators infuriated about this because it kind of circumvents the qualified accredited investor designation that they're so, because we need to be babysat, Joseph.
Yeah. What is the SEC?
We don't know what we're doing with our money. You can't spend your money the way you want because you don't know what you do. You come over here and then I tell you how to spend it, right? Because, we're the regulator. We know exactly how.
So I wonder what the SEC is going to have to say about that.
Exactly,
right?
bro. I mean, that's the whole thing. They're starting it out in Europe, obviously, because we're the regulation. And then they're going to.
There you go. Yeah. So they're very, very interesting. All right, guys. Yeah, so this is starting to work out. We're starting to, it is starting to work out. We're taking an additional breath right here, right around 61.70. But as long as we slowly, continuously grind higher, then I think there's going to be another opportunity to add. But even maybe that volume and you get that buy program start to step in. But right now, more of a slow grind. Be prepared to take small profits, smaller moves, especially in this market. Considering the SPY the Qs in the SPY have been moving down, but it's choppy and a lot of overlapping price action. Look at this hot piece of garbage apple there, Sharif. You get a big move down, and then essentially it's literally eastward. This is a breakout trader's nightmare. Unless you're selling or buying the bottoms and selling the tops, and you're looking for that breakout, you're just getting absolutely chewed up, and you don't want to be trading that. So for me, I just have my eyes on it because I do have a swing position. But other than that, I would not even be paying any form of mind for a trade plan on AAPL, Sharif.
All right, Wolf Speed is starting to put in higher lows, but not necessarily higher highs. So you guys know what I've been doing lately. We've been looking to execute for the micro pullbacks on the 5 to kind of just be able to see where the sellers and buyers are sitting on the level 2. They're certainly sitting at 20s. There have been times when the price action is bumped up to 21. So there has been a lot of size on Wolf Speed at that 20 and 21 penny area. That's the bad news. The good news is ever since we put in that bottoming tail candle, I want to say, you know, around whatever time that is. Anyway, I don't know why it's showing me this at 6:15, but this bottoming tail candle right here, we have been putting in higher lows. So that's good news. The bad news is we're not really putting in a higher high. So I'm watching intently here as Wolf Speed sets up. We'll have to see how that cookie crumbles. Second of all, I'm back into VOR. We've got a 58s on at the moment. We're 3 pennies out of the money. 4 pennies out of the money as it's down into 54. So we'll keep an eye out on this one. I don't mind dollar cost averaging on VOR. I like the uptrend. I just don't think I'm going to be able to catch the bottom every single time. So VOR, we're back into this. Bad boy over here. We'll see if this one can take out that 270 top that it got on the day. And then we're also in SY. This one looking the best of the bunch right now. Looking at print at 41. Alas, that seller at 39 has been there for a hot minute, and we haven't been able to shake them. So we'll have to keep an eye out on that. Let's bring in the trusty side charts here. I don't think we've shown it too many times. VIOT just dropped below the volume weighted average price. It tried to get right back above it, but when you look at it more intently over here, you're still seeing the lower highs. And all these topping tail candles just makes you feel that the shorts are getting crazy here on VIOT. Why does everybody keep shorting or selling into strength? Well, that means, you know, for the moment, it feels like the shorts are in control. No doubt about that, at least for the moment. So we'll keep tabs on that. I just want to add again into VOR as it comes back down into that $0.50. Where's my VOR chart at? There we go. So we'll add into that over here. There it is at the 20. So we're going to keep an eye into the volume weighted average price, which is currently showing me 39s. Sorry, let me bring this back. There's another one here that I've said very little about, and that's because it's done a little bit less volume than the other is ELPW. So this one has only breached the volume weighted average price very momentarily there, and then it ended up closing above it. So got into that 145, then really quickly reclaimed that 155, and then actually made a candle to make a new high. We just printed the high of the day on ELPW. It's up 50%. As we speak, 180 is the high of the day. So that one in focus as well. Shout out to my man Bovin bringing me this one as well. KNW. This one is a trade de novo, just breaking out at around 11:05. The volume really starting to spike here, but we're getting a bit of a pullback as the volume dries up. Down into 306 we go. The volume weighted average price on KNW in the 2 low 90s, currently showing me 291. So we'll have to wait and see, Bovin, whether this one gives up 3. If it does it find support at that 2 low 90 area where the volume weighted average price is hanging out? I'm going to be keeping an eye on KNW. It's earned its way on to the side chart, but we're going to have to keep an eye on VOR because that's the one we got shares in now, Joseph.
Nice. Good luck there, guys. All right, so a poll is up. The market is all over the place. What is your play? LFG, buy every dip. This is a trap. Short the rips. Just here for the memes. I'm in my it's what it is era. I'm going with the last one there because that's what it is. It is what it is. We can't do anything about that. We just got to follow the price action. So there it is, guys. All right, so what are we talking about here, Joe? Why do you have the options chain up on Bitcoin? Well, what we want to do is try to identify some high levels of open interest. And you can see that relative to some other sides, we got 61 with 22,000. That's slightly alarming, actually. I missed this one here, guys. So hopefully we don't become underwater, and this is somewhat of a liquidity grab here. But then as you head higher a couple strikes, you can see that at 62 we have 15,000, which I was kind of aiming for, right? That's what I was looking for, anywhere just below 62 to start taking some profit off, and that would have been 61.80, 61.85, etc. And then as you climb higher, you can see there's a nice congestion between that 64.5 and 65 strike price right there, with a total of about 44,000 contracts. So that's what I'm looking at. Now that I have identified those 61s, maybe that is going to be somewhat of some downward pressure because you don't want those to close in the money, obviously. But I also believe that this could be a good buying opportunity. As long as the volume continues to remain relatively low on the lower time frames, then I think it's a good dip buy. And then if you get those aggressive asks start to step in, and those aggressive sellers, then maybe you can take that additional leg higher. But again, we're just going to zoom in here. I know it's really tough to see, but just look how low this volume is. So it's not going to take much right now for a larger participant to step in and send the underlying in whatever direction it would like to do so. So again, just being patient. Possible add opportunity around 61.66, but then you're also looking for a profit target of around 61.80 and 61.85. All right, so going to keep that in mind. If it does decide to break down, then I'll have to accept it. But we were nicely in the money. I had a specific target that I was looking for. Why? Because now I have to hold this trade for longer, and I understand. Yeah, you have to take what the market gives you at times, but also if the trade is working out, you have to have the ability to let it work out for as long as it possibly can. We were short earlier and wrong, so now I want to kind of just subsidize for that loss here. But again, I'm not going to hold this too much against me. This is my larger add on this position. This was starter. Once it started to work out is when I added aggressively, and then it doesn't take much for Bitcoin to really sell. And now that I see I see this 5-minute candle, this is not a good sign here. Oops, what did I do? This is not a good sign. We have an inverted hammer candle right at the high of the day, and then now you're heading back in towards the volume weighted average price. So I just got to sit here and think about what am I going to do? Am I going to hop out, break even, or am I going to have a prayer and just wish that, hey, maybe you get that buy program to step in and it works in your favor. But other than that, what I'm getting at here is we have our trade plan. We're going to execute it regardless if it works in our favor or if it does not, Sharif.
All right, guys. Keeping an eye on a new small cap gapper that I believe is halted, PTHS. All right, just double checking on this. What is this? Is this a buyout? Okay, so this is doing no volume, so I'm not even going to, yeah, we're not even going to look at it. It's not doing any volume, so likely is a buyout candidate. I'm just looking on my blotter, because last time I said it was a buyout candidate and it was not. I'm not seeing anything buyout related on this one. So no, it doesn't look like it is, but it is halted to the upside. All right, guys, here we go. Keep your eye on Wolf. It is now putting in very clearly higher highs and higher lows. This one could be on the way back to the high side right now at the $0.25. It's kind of doing a rounded shape where, yeah, we're going to give this one a try. So we'll get involved over here. It feels like it's thickly traded, though, at these levels. So even though we're putting in higher highs and higher lows, be careful with the sell-offs coming in for false breakout. So what I'm going to look to do is put in my stop at prior bar low. So that's exactly what we'll do right there on WOLF. We'll keep tabs on that one. Yeah, it does feel like it's very thickly traded, even though it does have that higher low, higher high rounding pattern. It just, there is sellers at almost every level. And that's, you can see that on the level. Excuse me. You can see that on the level 2. You can also see it on the 5-second chart. So that's what that one is doing. VOR is coming in a little bit over here. So we've added to this one at the $0.50. I've layered my orders to add into this one as well. It's got a 4-candle red setup at the moment. So not sure how this cookie crumbles over here on VOR. So I'm going to keep tabs on that. What else we got? Okay. Took a bunch of prints there on MBIO to the high side, then ended up getting stopped out. So what the hell just happened there? This thing popped up all the way into the 70s, and then it dropped down to trigger me out. So MBIO is also doing a rounded pattern as well, where it's got higher lows and higher highs, but it's also got volatility. So keeping my stop tight there was not the right move. I still like this one for a possible breach of 6. Let's get back involved in this bad boy over here. I'm not going to put my out at prior bar low anymore. What do we got on MBIO over here? We got 65s on. Okay, so we'll keep tabs on that, and we'll look to take some prints here to the high side if it does weasel up. So just layer my orders on this one. Yeah, so this one is a little volatile, so give it a little bit of room here. I mean, you don't need to be taking profits at every penny or so, because it looks like it's moving 10, sometimes 15 pennies at a time. The idea here is going to be to get a good price after this add-in. So that good price to me is going to have to be a breach of the 50 in between the 10 and the 20. So I'm going to set up an order in the high 30s. So we'll just go 538 or so for a possible buy order there. And we'll look to get that DCA. What else are we doing over here? SY still hanging out near the highs. WOLF looks like it's still rounding, but you know the sellers are obviously still a little bit stronger than the buyers. And then last but not least over here, VOR, we're still holding this one at the 20, guys. So we'll keep tabs on that. For now, we're going to Adair.
Alrighty.
Yeah, Sharif, I looked into the Chinese ADR news. The only piece of news that I'm actually seeing that's kind of note here, this came out hours ago. It was published in the wee hours of the night here by Bloomberg UK, reporting that a German pension fund has apparently tapped a Chinese firm's Hong Kong arm to help them invest in local stocks. When I say local, I mean Chinese equities listed in Hong Kong, the mainland, and the U.S. So again, this is just a report, but apparently KZVK, which is a firm out of Germany, managing roughly $40 billion in assets, gave $50 million to Full Goal Asset Management in Hong Kong in Q2 2025 to help them invest in Chinese stocks. Again, unclear if that's the reason for this move because it came out hours before this push. But either way, interesting story. For what it's worth, I looked into the performance of the Hang Seng and the CSI. So there's to be two of the, I guess, the more closely watched indices in China. Neither of them made any significant upside moves. In fact, they both closed lower. Back to you.
Okay. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, cool. All right. So yeah, a couple people in the chat mentioned something interesting, guys. Yeah, the double top there I am seeing on Bitcoin, and that's not a good sign right here, right? Because you can see you have that inverted hammer right there, and I'm like, oh no, oh no, oh no. So with that being said, my stop is now at VWAP. I'm only gonna give this thing about 9 cents or so, and I'm just gonna hop out, especially if it heads right into the volume weighted average price. So that is that game plan. But before we talk a little bit more stocks, let's see what we got going on for the top performing sectors of the day. I need one of those what's for lunch things there, Sharif. Wow. Can you guess which sector is green today, Sharif?
Sorry?
Which sector is green?
I have no idea, brother. I'm sorry. I'm just, my bad.
None of them. For you, it's
like so out of my bag, dog.
It's all good, brother. Do your thing. Yeah, because sometimes we're busy, right? We got to focus on what we got going on, and it's just like, yeah, we like the banter and stuff. But anyways, we don't have a single green sector on the day here, guys. So there you go, a weak market. Utilities is holding on, but just by a thread here. So we're down about less than a 1/10%. Industrials down about a third there, guys. Consumer staples sitting in that show spot, down about 0.3 or closer to 0.4%. Now the bottom three, the materials, down about 0.8 there, guys, and then we have the energy sector down about 1.110. You can tell I'm tired. Down 1%, and then the consumer discretionary down about 1 1/5 there, guys. So not a single green sector here on the day, and I'm over here looking to get Bitcoin to start climbing for me. Levi, I don't know if this trade's gonna work, my friend. But as I mentioned, I have no issues with getting stopped out. We've taken 2 attempts on this. Could I have taken some up there? But yeah, no, I was looking for more in this trade. 61.80 was my primary target, but now I'm gonna move my stop to 61.56. It comes into the volume weighted average price. See you later, and we won't be trading Bitcoin anymore because we've seen the price action and what was going on with it over the weekend. Well, it had a high of 109, but other than that, it was just trading within that within a $1,000 range roughly for a couple of days, which is, man, that price compression on Bitcoin is extraordinary in my opinion. And if you ask me, the more institutional adoption, the more control that they're going to have over these. And you can see it displayed. Some days it moves throughout the intraday session, and then it moves after that, right? So for me personally, it's optionable. You got BlackRock, Grayscale, Kathy's involved into this, and all these ETFs. Now, in my opinion, Wall Street has a dominant position in Bitcoin, and it's harder for it to move for all the decentralized I guess, traders who are looking for it to move that way. I don't think that's the case anymore, Sharif.
All right. MBIO might break down over here. It's got a buyer at 5 that's been supporting it for some time, but you feel like that buyer at 5 may get overwhelmed now. That is the general area low. It does kind of put in this higher high, higher low situation, which kind of baited me in. And now we are in some trouble here because there's a seller at 20, and it looks like the seller there is more aggressive. Well, the sellers are more aggressive than the buyers because, well, we can't catch a bid right now above that 20 penny area. So MBIO in some trouble over here. What do we have on? We got 38s on MBIO. It did pop up to 20 multiple times, but it is being met with some selling. So we'll have to see how that cookie crumbles. Already put in my stop. Back into WOLF, looking for this one to continue trending upwards. We'll have to see if that ends up doing it. VOR, finally getting a nice little bid here on VOR, showing me 54, so we're break even on this one. We got shares on VOR, so let's go ahead and wait over here, and we'll wait as well at the 57 penny area. So we'll layer the orders there on VOR. Haven't said much about SY lately because it's been kind of a little bit dead. That seller at 39 is overwhelming buyers, so we can't really shake them at the moment. So we'll keep tabs on that. But there's really MBIO that I'm waiting for either to break that $5 area or at least try to work its way back above the 550 area. It doesn't look like we're going to be able to shake that seller at 20, and now we're kind of doing the ask creep, as Adara calls it, where we kind of move down incrementally by a penny or two on every descending or every move down. So we did momentarily just breach that 20 penny area, but as you can see, right back down below it as the sellers are obviously in control of the price action on MBIO right now. So yeah, we'll have to see how this ends up doing, but there is 5 again, and it keeps getting defended, to be fair, but I just don't think it's going to keep getting defended in this way forever and ever more, and I'm going to end up getting stopped out at a point there. So it's got a bit of a head and shoulders pattern now that I look at it a bit more thoroughly, a level left shoulder head, right shoulder, with the neckline being around $5. So it does feel like, this one is destined for that $5 break. Yeah, and that won't be good for me, obviously. WOLF, still keeping my eye on that one, looking for the higher high and higher lows. And VOR wasn't able to take that print at 55s, but packing my patience on this one. I do like how this one is putting in some support at the 20, but for how long is that going to be the case? For keeping my eye here on MBIO as it dips back right into that $5 area again, Joseph. So 4 positions on at the moment, a couple of winners, couple of losers, a bit of a mixed day here. We'll have to see how this ends up going.
Absolutely. All right, guys. So yeah, you can see the strength within these candles here to the downside. Here it is from a daily. We traded within a $2,000 range. You don't see that too often for numerous amounts. I thought that considering we were sitting on the backside of this downtrend, we've cracked it, we opened up above it. I thought we were going to take that leg higher, but it doesn't seem to be the case. And the longer it takes for us to get that move, the less conviction I'm going to have within that setup there, guys. So yeah, we're in some contracts, and I was just kind of doing some game planning over the weekend, and I'm like, I'm prepared to just I grab like 10 contracts, 12 contracts for this next move because the account can afford that. But yeah, I don't think that's going to be the case. And the way that I'm not seeing kind of that momentum step in, I don't really want any part of that. But Gora pointed out a great stock. This thing is, once again, now it seems to be awakened now, Sharif, now going from a low of 132 all the way up to 137. Palantir putting in a nice session. But this chop factor here, it's really tough, right, guys? And I mention it time and time again, when you're seeing these things, you want to start putting your orders at the lows for the buy and then your sells at the top, right? Just in case you're range bound, you're going to have that liquidity grab or two. But a nice big time move in Palantir, blew past the high of the day, blew past a Thursday's high session as well too, and then you can see a nice liquidity grab in the pre-market this morning, and then it's been holding up VWAP relatively nice, and that momentum is definitely picking up. Adara, is there any news on Palantir, Adara, by any chance? It's looking pretty good. She'll get that if there is anything, but this is what we got going on. What's happening here now, guys, is that the volume is relatively steady here as you're starting to pull back. So now, eventually, within a couple of minute candles or another 5-minute candle, you want to see that AB. Perfect, thank you. You want to see that ABCD pattern, or you're just going to kind of capitulate and head right back into the volume-weighted average price. And if we do that, I'm going to get out of this trade, and that's going to be my final attempt here on IBIT, because you can see as we open up here on the session, guys, massive engulfing, and then now we've had a hard time throughout the session to break and hold VWAP, and I would be suspecting double top, you head back into the volume-weighted average price, boom, I would take it as, hey, we might go and test the low of the day. But again, if it chops around, I want no parts of this, and this is going to be my final attempt on this one because I did flip the thesis already, and you don't want to get caught up in that chop game.
All right, Joseph. So we take an L on MBIO. It loses my level, loses that $5 level. It's losing VWAP. So, hey. We win some, we lose some. We're not doing well on that one. We're doing a lot better on WOLF, though. This one, we're taking Prince to the high side. Full disclosure, though, got less shares on WOLF than I did on MBIO. So we'll still be negatory, at least for the moment on the day. But WOLF just took out a level over here. It's right back into local highs. It's got a seller at 40. And I'll submit to you that the real seller is not at 49, where we have the topping till candle at around 1035. It's really at 40 because none of the candles at around 1035, excuse me, closed above even 235. So momentarily they just got into that 239. So this is the highest closing candle, pardon me, we've had all day on WOLF. Whether it can take out the highs or not, we'll have to keep an eye out on that. So that's what I'm looking at right now on WOLF. I've still got a nice position here on VOR. This one is not selling, it's not taking out that 54 penny level. That's been the level for the last, I want to say, 10, 15 minutes or so. So there's certainly a seller of note hanging out here at 54s, and it's an iceberg order most likely because there's barely any size posted on any of the gateways, whether you're looking at ARCA, JEX, BATS, Nasdaq. I mean, they're all showing either maximum 16 lots there or some single digit lots. So we'll keep an eye out on that. I don't want a dollar cost average into an oblivion, but I do already have planned DCAs into that 40 penny level because that's where the volume weighted average price is hanging out. So that's what I'm looking at right now. Wolf continues to take out highs. 241 is showing my next profit taker on this one, 245. Last but not least, before we go to Adara, SY holding this one, got nice shares on this one as well. Looking for that 39 penny break. 39 pennies has been the high of the day at Adara.
Just keep an eye here on uranium. Here's URA. You could also look at UUUU. Basically, this came out a little while ago, I think about 5 to 10 minutes ago, but we do have comments coming from Al Jazeera. They're reporting that Russia's foreign minister said that Russia's ready to supply Iran with enriched uranium at a level sufficient for a peaceful nuclear program, quote unquote. So keep an eye here on URA. Nice push here from lows that we're trading below yesterday's, or sorry, not yesterday, Thursday's highs. Back to you.
Thank you, Adara.
Yeah, thank you very much, Adara. I'm just putting in a stop order here on Bitcoin, just in case it does decide to break through VWAP. This pullback is getting significantly deeper than what I've anticipated, and the market's just not doing too much either anyways, all right? So let's take a look at some of the top volume stocks here on the day. Stock screener, and not too much on my list actually popped up, but Tesla's put in 75 million shares on the session, guys, and then we got SOXL with 47 million, but the top of the class is obviously TSLL, the 2x leverage, with 172 million shares, and then NVDA has about 67.5 million shares traded on the day. And what's Coors? There, Coors Scientific. Oh, very interesting. This name's not doing too much, but it's put in some volume there, guys. 69.5 million shares. Very interesting inverted hammer right there. Ooh. That's a beauty short signal right there, if you ask me, Sharif. So that's a potentially really good look. But that move may be done. But you want to go off of those hammer candles, no questions asked. And then IREN, very interesting, 35.8 million shares. And I was looking at this name this morning as well, too. But we're just focused on Bitcoin right now. We're going to get stopped out momentarily, and then we're just going to look for that next trade. Not too much going on. These Mag 7s aren't doing too much today, Sharif, considering the gap down in some of the names. Tesla, you mentioned, down 6% right off the jump. So that's not looking too good. But IBIT's not looking good either, and I pulled up the chart earlier, traded within a $2,000 range throughout the whole weekend, and then now we're coming back and just continuously moving sideways. So I might have to cut my contract once again, and I don't want to get continuously doing things. And then that's like, it's like death by paper cuts essentially. It's like, okay, you take a little $20, $50 loss here, $50, but eventually you just got to throw that thesis out the window and just be like, all right, it's not ready to break out. I'm not getting the positioning that I want, so I have to be more patient and actually start to participate once that breakout occurs. You're not going to get the best price or the best risk to reward, but it's better than just like continuously hopping in and out of contracts and or shares and just like taking those small losses when the trade isn't working out how you want to.
All right, Joseph, we're back at the high of the day here at Wolf, and there's a substantial seller at the $0.50. He's getting taken out. He just got taken out. 51s now on the ask. Prior to that, it was 50 on the ask. So that is a new high of day on WOLF 251. We got 24s on at the moment. I want to see if this is an appropriate one to add. It's very thickly traded, as you can see here at the $0.50. So it's not just 50. There we go. Now we're breaking out, and we're breaking out quite aggressively right now on WOLF, relatively speaking, of course. This is a $2 name. This is a triple-digit winner now, guys. We're up 114%. We're still having trouble with that $0.50. So let's keep an eye out on this one. Let's see if it's an appropriate area to add or whether this is just going to be, you know, a possible double top manifesting at around this area. So on the lookout right now for WOLF for a possible add. Again, the high of the day, 55, but you're literally encountering aggressive selling at almost every level. And there it is, 55s. Wow, that was a lot of size there posted at 55s. So let's go ahead on this one. We're going to look to add here, Joseph, like a psycho, like you do, in a good way, of course, because, you know, I always compliment you on that. So we're adding at the highs. Let's see if we can get some continuity here on WOLF. What's the high of the day? 58s right now. So we've got a decent position. It's nothing to write home about. It's a 3-candle green setup. You're encountering big selling, 58s, 57. There is a seller of note at almost every penny. So be on the lookout here for a good squeeze, but be on the lookout for the money fills too, those micro pullbacks that pull back and give you an opportunity to get more shares in for the breakout. So it doesn't go in a straight line. They're not linear. You guys know how these work. They zig and they zag before they make new highs most of the time. So that's what we'll keep an eye out on now. So a nice move up here for WOLF, but it is a 59 high, excuse me. And we're unable to print 56s at the moment. So we'll keep tabs on this one. Let's see if it defends that $0.50 or does it breach it and then kind of grab a lot of people that were looking long. So we're playing with house money right now. So I was able to add in at the high for a possible breakout, but right now it does not look like the right move. So we'll look to break even on the last remaining amount here if it does lose the $0.50. Just keeping an eye to see what kind of shares are coming in here on the ask that could prevent this from ascending, okay? So that's what I'm looking at. Simultaneously keeping an eye on VOR. We got 49s on, so let's go ahead and take some off here at the $0.50 as this one did dip down into the volume weighted average price, but it's still putting in lower lows and lower highs. So I'm keeping my eye here on Wolf. There we go, 58s. 59s again, 60 on Wolf. Seller at 60, can't shake the seller. So that lottage there, it was almost about, I want to say, a few thousand lots, more than a few thousand lots. That just got taken out. There we go, 60 again on WOLF. Can't shake the seller at 60. 60's back there. Let's wet the beak over here. Let's just take a quick print just to wet the beak. So now we're going to keep an eye there at 59s again, Joseph. So can't shake that 10-penny seller at the 60-penny level. We'll keep an eye out on this one. We'll look to take out more if it is warranted, but keeping an eye also on VOR.
Good look there, guys. All right, let's take a look at Tesla. The new American Party right here. Yeah, very interesting stuff.
What a guy, bro.
What a guy, the new American Party. Yeah, I told you, I'm glad that I'm out of this stock, right? This guy. You know,
which is what confused me about that whole competition, because you chose Tesla in the competition, and then you're not even holding Tesla IRL. So it's like, what are you so pumped up about? That's why I was just tripping about the whole thing. You're talking about the monthly thing that it does.
Yeah,
because like, you're not even holding it.
That was a big mistake. Yeah, it was a big mistake by me.
I'm not trying to make you feel bad about that. That's what I'm trying to say is you're not even holding it in the long term.
But I was at the time when we met the Jimmy. When we had the Jimmy Carter fix. I had Tesla, and I'm like, okay. Well, I thought this was going to be honestly the best beautiful thing there could have been. He was working with Elon. He's in Doge. He was going to get all the regulations that he needs. Right. It's literally been the polar opposite.
Get it, Elon.
These guys, we're going butting heads there. It's lunchtime now. Butting heads. The stock has been selling down 40% off of those highs. Like, it's been the polar opposite of what I thought was going to happen with Tesla. I thought we were going to continuously appreciate. No, that's not been the case. And just look at this name. I'm so happy I'm out of it because these multiple gap down scenarios and just continuously bad news because these guys are having a pissing contest essentially on what's going on and who has more money and who can be more powerful. It's just like, okay, let's get out of this name because you don't know what's going to happen with this guy. We're forward looking. He's not even selling Optimus yet. He just released a small fleet in Austin, right? We're still, you have to be forward looking in this name, but right now, the short-term bad news is not a good look for Elon and company. But Adara, what do you got for us with happening now? And then Neil's lesson of the day.
Well, first, we're going to thank our friends at Top One Futures. Are you looking to trade futures like the Nasdaq SPY or even Bitcoin? Top One Futures is one of the fastest growing prop firms out there. They give traders the chance to manage up to $1 million in capital. Pick your path, instant funded, challenge, or pro account. And start trading your way to real payouts and even a live account because in the last 90 days alone, they have paid out over $10 million. And they've earned over 1,000 5-star reviews from real traders. So use the discount code TTV. That's TTV to save on any account. Scan the QR code or head to toponefutures.com. That's toponefutures.com and start trading towards your next payout. Here's the Nasdaq. Nice bounce here off lows. Higher highs, higher lows for the most part here in this 15-minute chart. S&P 500 pretty similar, although I would say S&P 500 a little bit of a sharper bounce here off that 621 low. So let's talk a little bit about the stories that we had coming into the day. The biggest by far had to do with some of these tariffs and trade. We know we're waiting on these deals. Initially, August 1st was supposed to be the day these tariffs were implemented. It was going to be July 9th for the tariff implementation. Now they're pushing it back to August 1st as we await potentially more deals. TSLA trying to break out here and potentially push back higher, though it still has quite a long way to go. Of course, as mentioned earlier by Joe and Sharif, we did have TSLA on watch after Elon Musk basically reignited his feud with former ally, U.S. President Donald Trump. Now they're still getting upset here about the big, beautiful bill, but Elon Musk actually upped the ante and threatened the new America Party as going to be the third political party. Donald Trump called him a train wreck in response. And it's worth noting, Joe, I know you picked this one for the Jimmy Carter picks. It has to get to $391 for you to be break even on it. So TSLA maybe not going to do that. We'll have to wait and see. Amazon, though, nice little push to the upside. AMZN on watch here. Prime Day starting tomorrow. It's going to be their largest event yet, or at least it's projected to be. Let's see how that works out. So we send you over to Neil and his long-awaited return of his lessons of the day. Take it away, Neil, and maybe Obi.
Thank you, everybody. Lesson of the day here, brought to you by Obi. No, actually, not necessarily, but I was just catching up with Obi there. And look, a lot of times it's so easy to go back. Like I could talk about Circle or I don't know, Hams or CoreWeave, like something we traded that worked. But I always want the lesson of the day to be something the market taught you. And it was a conversation I was having with Wayne before Obi came by, and we were discussing Wolf and just how we're also talking about Tesla overnight in the BL market, in the overnight markets, and how sometimes you get these opportunities for big moves with tight risk, and those are like the best kinds of setups. Well, Wolfspeed did one. I know Sharif's in it right now. Not to say that you can't trade in a million different ways, but there was one specific setup in Wolf, and then I'm going to go to SoFi in a second. When you're looking at a parabolic mover like this, okay, it's all well and good. You grab it off $1 on Thursday, or you catch an early breakout. Like, look at this early breakout or the double top breakout. Those are all fantastic opportunities. But once it's already gone 140 to 150, and you're trying to get into this, look at what happens as it sort of trends back down. Right? Does this little bottoming tail candle? It's what happens after that's interesting to me, where this is the long that I think you want to be able to get. Like you can see after this big candle, rejection underneath, 215, 210, holds $2. I'm going to zoom it in so you can see a little better now. Look at the consolidation, tries to run the high. This is now where you're at on watch, puts in another higher low on that red candle, and then there's your breakout trade at $2.25 with a risk of basically 10 cents plus maybe a penny or two of slippage on a stock which has moved $1. And then your room to the high, like it's a quarter to the high, which is 2.5 to 1 risk to reward. So even if you were to scalp out in front of the high and hold 10%, let's just say, that's still better than 1-to-1 risk to reward easily. It's a fantastic, but it takes a lot of patience to take that kind of a setup. The other way that you can play these is, and SoFi I did actually trade. The other way that you can play these is to see the setup happening, but get into it before the break. So on SoFi, similar looking setup. It's more of a, like you can see this, I don't know, flag pattern, pennant is I guess what I'm supposed to call it. Not a chartered market technician, but that's what works. It's got these lower highs and higher lows. Well, while you're waiting for it to break the pennant, if you're bullish on it, just go into the long. So I went into the consolidation long when it did this wick. Then I watched it bounce off this old, like, oh, we're taking more right in here at 19 even because it's holding 19 even. And at that point, I can either tighten my stop up from here to the evens or leave it at 18.95. And then you have volume or inventory going into the break of this wedge. And I'm taking some out if it holds. And then I'm waiting for it to break, make the next move up. I'm offering it the high of the day. The point being is there's so many times that you are going to find yourself, if you're a small cap trader or any kind of trader, it doesn't really matter what stock you trade, where you miss this crazy parabolic move or you miss this big pullback, those huge setups, but you want to join the trend. It requires a lot of patience. Let something set up. Like I wait till it makes the wedge, confirm this other higher low here, then we start entering the trade. Or in the case of a wolf speed, just allow it to, excuse me, allow it to show you the consolidation breakout. Like you can try to get it on the way back in, or give the extreme candle, confirm your support level, and take the break. In the open, these types of stocks, you hit it once early, you hold on to it for the rest of the day. Great. But for a lot of traders, maybe you don't even notice it till it's already popping up on your volume scanner half an hour later, an hour later. Once it's gone 100%, 70%, that huge move, you got to be extremely patient. Wait for that sniper style entry. SoFi, I would argue, was a little bit different because of that flag pattern or pennant pattern. But with Wolf, simple breakout trade. Simple consolidation breakout trade. You don't have to get the first move on a stock that's probably going to do 500 million shares and up over 100%. You can make money without catching that. So when you're looking at these small cappers or anything else, you miss that first parabolic move, don't get FOMO. Allow something to set up, because if it's going to trend and go crazy all day long, you should be able to find your way into it without breaking rules or taking some crazy FOMO trade where you're taking a breakout and then holding it all the way back into VWAP. Yeah, sure, it makes the high of the day, and that looks good because you'd make money technically if you took a break at 240 or some nonsense, or took a break here, let's just say, at 220, take that break, it's coming back in, hold it against you, averaging, yeah, it would have worked out. Or patience. Patience for the consolidation break, tight risk, big reward. That's what's available to you in the later portion and during lunchtime. But it requires a lot of patience and a lot of discipline. So follow your setups, make sure you're trading the stock that's in place so it can do that kind of a move, and then just wait for the market to come to you and show you that setup. If you don't make the trade, you don't make the trade. But you want something that's as clean as this, going with the trend without having to chase too crazily. There's your lesson of the day. Big assist to Wayne, because we were talking about this with Wolf 10 minutes before I came on, and I was like, we have to talk about these kind of setups because they're golden for day traders. Absolute gold. We get good risk to reward in the right stocks. Good luck, everybody.
The Cybertruck, not the Cybertruck, Ram.
Do it.
Anything but the Cybertruck. Don't make fun
Anything
of
but,
this.
eh?
So you know, my cousin's been away for a little bit of time, right? And now he's back.
Yeah, he's back.
So he didn't know about my ambitions.
Oh yeah.
To pick up the Saibi.
Oh, what do you say?
First thing he was like, "What is that ugly?" Blah, 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 all that stuff.
Yeah,
and I had to like
yeah.
show him. I had to show.
What's up.
It seems to be a universal thing, Joseph, when they see the Cybertruck in its natural state, being all like what's it called, stainless steel.
Yeah.
They hate it.
They don't like
Then you show them the gloss black. All of a sudden, everything changes.
Oh, everything's sick.
You know what I mean? What's going on?
We like
so yeah, I don't mind too much.
Yeah,
not like I really care, but I kind of do.
Yeah, thank you, Nairobi, for the lesson of the day.
Nairobi.
Though. Yeah, I appreciate that.
All right, Joseph. Say that again. Oh.
See, he got it now. Yeah, thank you, Nairobi.
He got that. He got that immediately.
He got it on.
Get it, Neil.
Neil,
you didn't say anything about your vacation, brother. How's everything? How was it? You want to chime in for a little second?
Yeah, how was
Because we know Neil, he goes on a yearly camping trip with the family. You know how this whole thing works.
Appreciate you asking. So I have a meeting in like 5 minutes, so I'll try to make this like very brief and quick. I was just talking to Wayne about this. When I was growing up, well, I mean, I think it's probably true for everybody. Speaking for myself, the things I remember the most, I played a lot of sports. I remember all that fun stuff every now and then. But all my best memories were going cub camping. My dad was involved with Cubs. And then family trips, like my dad he'd always take us to science centers, museums, that kind of thing. Sometimes just going out for a picnic, hiking, kicking the ball around. Like that's the stuff that's like seared in my memory. So we're always determined, and my wife's with this too, to just build quality memories because that's really what you have. So we do yearly camping trips, and we got supremely lucky because there was rain, like I think 3 of the days, but there was all overnight rain, and we have an awesome tent. We made sure to set up the tarps and everything on the first night. A couple of years ago, we didn't do that. We're like, yeah, it's not going to rain the first night. And then when you had to do it and you're rushing to get it done the night the rain's coming, you make mistakes. But as long as you're prepared for it, it's a ton of fun. I 100%. Sleep better than I ever do. Hey. My daughter loves it. We did like rock painting. We're at the beach. She loves collecting rocks. They had a lighthouse up at Presqu'île, which is just a couple of hours away from where we are right now. So it's great. I mean, there's nothing like getting out into nature and unplugging for a few days, because that's a big thing. I mean, you only have so much mental bandwidth, and I love the markets and all that good stuff, but there is nothing better than spending quality time with your family. Nothing. I'm not one of those, like I love my job, and I've been trading for over 20 years, and it's all I've ever done, and I love it. But I am one of those people, ever since my daughter was born, the best day of my week is the day that I spend the most time with her, period.
Bang.
End of story. Bang. You know, like trading can be fun and trading can make money, but I could care less relative to these types of memories. But if you've never done camping, I'm just telling you, it's the greatest thing for the soul. So that's just my 2 cents. The only thing I haven't done is that whole like portage, jump in the canoe and then go into the middle of nowhere nonsense. So like that's what I stay away from, because I haven't taken that next leap yet. Only a matter of time.
That's a workout, Neil. It's
a lot, dude.
As the Americans say, because I don't think the Americans are going to know the portage aspect, because it's very, it's portage. You know how I know, Neil? Because I watch the survival shows.
Oh, it's portage.
And they're always calling it portage. But like,
because you're crazy like that.
So,
anyways, good luck, boys.
That. Thanks, Neil. Yeah, that sounds like a hell of a time.
Yeah, I love getting out there. You guys know some of my
baby.
backstories. I used to go on a lot of canoe trips, do a lot of portaging, I guess is the. Sat on a black hornet's nest one time. I told you that.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's like an expression.
Dude, it's literally like a 2-kilometer portage from like the one river to the other. I'm like, all right, I need a break. Sit on this dead log.
And?
Leg just littered with the black hornet. Yeah. And
you didn't feel the pain coming in like right away? Or?
Oh, dude! As soon as I felt that first one, they just swarm you and attack. So it's like my whole leg. So then all my partners had to carry my dry sacks and the canoes for me.
Oh
my I couldn't walk. Yeah, my leg.
Yeah, I can imagine, bro. That's like debilitating. Like, thank God you didn't get an anaphylactic shock or anything.
Exactly.
Like that. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Exactly. But here we got going on, guys. We're just holding on by a thread here on IBIT. We had that stop at 61.53. It's starting to bounce now, and you can see that we pushed up to about 67 or 65 there, and still holding on. So hopefully that this pullback was deep enough. We bounce off of VWAP, and then now we head back towards that high of the day and breach it. Wait for that 61.80. Excuse me. And then that's when we're going to start to look to take some off there, guys. So being patient. I zoomed out. again, I don't want to magnify everything on the 1 minute because then you just start overthinking and analyzing everything. So I'm like, all right, let me zoom out here on the 3 minute just so I'm not just hyper focused on these things. But what I refer to as a trade is, for me, just being a momentum and a breakout trader. The quicker the trade works, the more conviction I have within it and the ability to add. And for me, the longer it takes, not necessarily the best at it, but you like it when those trade theses work out relatively quick, Sharif.
All right, guys, we're doing it live right now on VOR. This is really heading up here. So keeping an eye here on VOR. What do we got? We got 45. I think we just got to 6. I think I took a print at 68. So that's the best on the day. The high of the day is still 70, and we still haven't breached that 70 penny level. I'm talking about VOR. It's up 38%. I did dollar cost average aggressively into this one several times. They were all planned, and the idea here was to defend into the volume weighted average price, and that's exactly where it found support. I'm talking about this area over here, touching VWAP, then rocketing back to the high side. So we had shares on this one. Full disclosure, still negative on the day because of MBIO, but we'll continue to work and hopefully work out of that negative spot that we're in at the moment. So VOR showing me 65s. We'll keep an eye out on that. VIOT, it is back. I'm going to get to ASST because ASST is running as well to the tune of 40%, but VIOT has been a bamboozler. It did have all these topping tail candles over here, which gave me the impression that the sellers were certainly in control, and that was kind of verified when this one lost VWAP by a substantial amount. But there it goes back into the high side. It is printing the new high day, 286. This is a squeeze on at the moment. It's got 4 green candles in a row, and it hasn't breached the 10 EMA since around 11:30, so we're going on 45 minutes of respect for that green solid line on your chart. It's up over 70% now, VIOT. It's a little spreadier than your regular run-of-the-mill small cap gapper, but it's still very, very tradable. Dara, just 1 second. I've got one more to cover. ELPW, kind of a very similar look. This is going into the high of the day as well, 189 on ELPW. A lot less shares traded on ELPW than there is on VIOT. Trade both of them carefully, but they're both looking fantastic over here at Dara LePage.
Yeah, hi, Sharif Gabriel. Just keep an eye here on AMZN. We know this one's on watch here with Prime. CNBC saying apparently 75% of the U.S. is estimated to have access to an Amazon Prime account. We know Prime days are coming up, so that's significant. I'm also seeing this story come out here. Apparently, Amazon warehouse robots have grown 5-fold since 2020, and now they're nearly equaling human staff. Apparently, these robots processed roughly 3,870 packages per worker last year versus 175 10 years ago, so 2015. Again, just some stats I'm seeing here coming out. Be aware here, AMZN holding up relatively well. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Adara. All right, VOR, Joseph is about to take out 69er, and that's, you know, where we're waiting.
Where?
Joseph.
Come on, man.
Come on now, man. All right, so we'll have to wait until that crosses. But my man, Rustam, drop in cash in the chat. Thank you very much, Rustam, for that $2 super chat. That's the end of you know, my speaking well of that, because Rustam, your stock's leaving a lot to be desired here, my friend. OSRH, at least you're not looking intraday. I hope not, because this thing's done 34,500 shares on the day, and you know, doesn't look at the chart. How do you read that? So I'm assuming, Rustam, you want me to look at the daily. And I think that that's where it's going to end as well, Rustam, because this is coming from, what was this, a SPAC? Yeah, this looks like a SPAC, Joseph, because it was hugging 10 for a period of months, basically from November 23 onwards. It looks like a de-SPACed, if I'm just guessing here by the price action, in February 10th of this year, and then it was basically lower lows and lower highs. Zooming in a little bit here on the price action, it looks like we found some support, Rustam, at around $1, but that, you know, a lot of reasons are that can be for that. Is because a lot of the companies, they want their stock price to be above $1. Otherwise, they get that dreaded letter from the Nasdaq if it remains below $1 for a while, basically saying that it's going to get delisted unless the price action gets above there. So a lot of times, you know, they buy back their own stock, or they have an agreement with somebody else to buy them, or whatever the hell they're doing. But it seems to be above that dollar. So unless it can clear some of these moving averages like the 50, or start putting in higher highs and higher lows consistently rather than just on a couple of few days, I'd say stay away from it. I don't even know anything about the stock, Joseph. Looks like it's a global healthcare company with about a $25 million market cap. But you got something there.
Yeah, I got us something, guys. Savvy Canadian traders looking to boost their exposure can now tap into the Nasdaq 100 and S&P 500 with the Beta Pro 3X daily leverage ETF featuring built-in FX hedging. This aims to amplify short-term market moves, minimizing the impact of currency swings. Whether you're feeling bullish or bearish, these ETFs built for active day traders are ready to take on the market. Read the full risk disclosure in the prospectus at betapro.ca before investing there, guys. All right. So there it is, Beta Pro. Go check it out for all the Canadian ETF traders and etc. So yeah, there it is. The QR code. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, guys, VOR is really going here. It's taking out the high, so we'll wet the beak a little bit there at just a little bit below the $0.25 at 73s. It's now up 43%. It's taking out highs. It does not have
something happened in the market here. Sorry, Sharif.
Oh, go ahead, Joseph. That's more important. What's going on?
Yeah, something's really, really going on here.
Good or bad?
No, not good here. So yeah, some news stepping in, guys.
Looking.
You can see I just got stopped out of my IBIT position. It looked like it wanted to climb higher, but that wasn't the case, and you get this massive engulfing candle here in the overall market, and I just seen it across the board. That's why I had to interrupt you there, Sharif. My apologies, but the volume's starting to pick up here, and something must be going on, and Bitcoin most definitely didn't like that one there, guys. So, yeah, we're all out of that Bitcoin trade.
All right, yeah, Adara is looking, guys. She's at the big desk. As soon as she finds something, if she finds something, okay, she's found it. We're going to Adara LePage.
Right now, we already have some of these names kind of recovering from this little blip. It actually has nothing to do with China, Sharif. It has to do with Japan. Apparently, Donald Trump saying that he is for a 25% tariff on Japan and a 25% tariff on South Korea. And excuse me, I just realized what's happening here. We might get more shocks, and that's because Donald Trump has basically gone on Truth Social and just shared all of his letters to the leaders of different countries. All of them seem to end with "thank you." Here's my favorite part, Sharif. So far, the two letters I've seen so far, again, to Japan and to South Korea, end with the words, "Thank you for your attention to this matter!" exclamation point. Now, if this sign-off seems significant, it's how he also signs off his Truth Socials. So yeah, he's basically saying to, again, the leaders of Japan and to South Korea that they will be basically announcing 25% tariffs, but if they decide to raise their tariffs for any reason, then, quote, whatever the number you choose to raise them by will be added onto the 25% that we charge. And apparently, these tariffs are necessary. They're also saying, I'm going to continue reading through these letters because there are a lot and he used very small font, but just be aware Donald Trump is continuing to announce these tariffs basically by posting them on Truth Social, the letters that he's sending anyway. Back to you.
Crazy.
Oh, baby.
Yeah,
I've got this letter right here.
Took a little scalp here on the TQs.
Oh, okay.
That's all right. Yeah, talk to us about the old Truth Social.
Dear Mr. President, this is the one for the President of South Korea, or the Republic of Korea, excuse me. It is a great honor for me to send you this letter in that it demonstrates the strength and commitment of our trading relationship. For whatever reason, trading relationship, the two words are capitalized. I don't know why. I need answers. And the fact that the United States of America has agreed to continue working with Korea despite having a significant trade deficit with your great country. Nevertheless, we have decided to move forward with you, but only with more balanced and fair capital everything trade. Therefore, we invite you to participate in the extraordinary economy of the United States, the #1 market in the world by far. We have had years to discuss our trading relationship with Korea and have concluded that we must move away from these long-term and very persistent trade deficits engendered by Korea's tariff and non-tariff policies and trade barriers. Our relationship has been, unfortunately, far from reciprocal. Starting on April 1st, 2025, we will charge Korea a tariff of only, I love how he writes only here, Adara, 25% on any and all Korean products sent into the United States, separate from all sectoral tariffs. Goods transshipped goods transshipped to evade a higher tariff will be subject to that higher tariff. Please understand that the 25% number is far less than what is needed to eliminate the trade deficit disparity that we have with your country. As you are aware, there will be no tariff if Korea or companies within your country decide to build or manufacture products within the United States. And in fact, we will do everything possible to get approvals quickly, professionally, and routinely. In other words, in a matter of weeks. It goes on to say, if there any reason you decide to raise your tariffs, then whatever number you choose to raise them by will be added to the 25% that we charge. Get them, Donald. Please understand that these tariffs are necessary to correct the many years, Joseph, of Korea's tariff and non-tariff policies and trade barriers, causing these unsustainable trade deficits against the United States. This deficit is a major threat to our economy and indeed our national security. There's another page, but we do have to pause momentarily, Joseph.
That's funny. We've got another behind-the-scenes look at Trade the Pool, but this time we're diving into the community side of Trade the Pool. As you know, each trader gets his or her own hub, and inside one, you'll find Trade Talk, a powerful charting and analysis space where traders map out strategies, break down setups, and share predictions with the community. And if you're looking for real-time interactive, the Trade the Pool Discord is where you get to visit. It's full of active traders sharing insights, trades, and tips to grow together. At Trade the Pool, you're not trading alone. You're joining a firm that invests in your growth technically, mentally, and financially. Head to tradethepool.com or scan the QR code on the screen there, guys. Yeah, I've seen everyone in the chat is love it. They love it and they hate it.
Man.
But it's back. There you go. So as we're starting to roll into some deadlines here, now him and the Koreans are starting to beef. But there it is. That's all it took. A choppy market, one true social post, and then sure enough, the market heads to the sell side. But I'm sure we got more information regarding this matter with Adara.
Yeah, I just want to let you guys know, no information right away, but about a half an hour, so that would be roughly 1 p.m. Eastern. We're expecting U.S. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt to deliver a press conference. It's worth noting, as I mentioned earlier, this conference was not initially on Trump's schedule, so it was added maybe last minute. That's going to be at 1 p.m. Eastern. Maybe we'll get some clarity on these tariffs. Back to you.
Thank you for that, Adara. All right, I'm really happy with this trade here on VOR, guys. I've been patient with this one. We're long at 45s, just wet the beak there at 79. The high of the day is 80. I expected to get a little top heavy here. The question for me is whether this one is a candidate that I can add to. So we've added many times into this one. Initially got in at around a little higher than 250, scalped up to 265. It lost the bid. It started putting in lower lows and lower highs, but most notably, it was still above the volume weighted average price. So that gave me the opportunity to get a better cost base on it. So we've got that cost base on now. My question is, it's getting extended away from the 10, which is showing me 265. In addition to that, we do have price action resistance initially at 265, with both these candles rejecting on a closing basis at least at 2/3 of a dollar. So my thinking is, if we continue to move up, maybe we get to mid-80s, whatever, and we retrace. Do I add to get more here on the 265, 270 dip? So that's the question I'm asking myself here, because we're almost exhausted as shares. We got one more out on this bad boy left, and, well, we want more. I want more. So we'll wait to see what the situation is with VOR. It's been I don't want to say the best trade. It certainly hasn't been the best trade, but it's been the most predictable. It feels, since it touched that volume weighted average price at 1155, it hasn't put in a red candle. So, yeah, so we'll keep tabs on that. Anyway, I'm done saying that about it. So I'm likely going to add 265 in and around that area. We'll have to wait and see. SY is the only other trade that I've got on, and I've been basically holding this thing since the start of the show. I did have this dollar cost average to defend that area low over here, but I don't think that that's right. Now, what I've been debating is getting out of SY, because we've been basically, since I got that best out there at the high of the day at 39s, all subsequent area highs have been lower. Now we're moving back up into 34, which gives you the kind of the hope that you end up breaking above 38, because that's the previous area high. But I don't know. I just don't want to be guessing whether this one wants to start putting in higher highs and higher lows. I'd like to get it off a predictable area. So I'm flattening out this trade over here. We're just going to take it out here, and then we'll look to set something else up. So Urban Trader asking about ASST. You're not the only one. So let's go ahead. And I'm going to take off MBIO. Let's put in AST. ASST. This thing is rocketing up and has been for some time. I just was focused on the other trades. And guys, you know, I'm definitely not all there mentally today. Quite tired. So I'm not going to be as sharp as, you know, I'd like to be with these small cap gappers and as you need to be with these small cap gappers. So sometimes when you guys show me things on the side, I'll have a quick look and I'll completely negate to follow up. And that's on me, but hopefully we'll get some good rest tonight and we'll be back good to go again tomorrow. So $6 right now, Joseph, is the level that I'm looking at over here. Couple of reasons. One, you rejected that level early on at around 4:15, 4 a.m. So you know there was interested sellers in that area. So that's number one. Number two, you also have that whole dollar, and it also, you know, definitely found support at that $6 area. Once it cleared it, dropped back down, held 6. In addition to all that, you have the 10 EMA. Also at that $6 area. So what I'd be looking for, number one, does it drop below 6 1/4, 6 1/3? Why am I saying that level? Well, because you have this 2 candle hold up right there. So that could be the bull flag. You know, all bull flags, they're not created equal. Some have longer areas of consolidation. Some have shorter. I'll submit to you, this one had a 10-minute one. So 2 candles on the 5, gets up into that 6 1/3, drops back down to about 6, and then you end up clearing it at around 20 after. What the hell is this showing me? Yo, yeah, look at that. Oh, okay.
Okay,
I'm losing. I'm losing it, Joseph. Yeah, I'm losing. I thought it was showing me the wrong time. Anyway, I'm getting back to focus over here. So if it does dip in to that 630, 6 1/4, I'm likely a buyer there with the idea of dollar cost averaging into 6. So that's my plan. Whether or not that plan comes to fruition or not, who the hell knows? Because this thing is a lot closer to the highs than it is to my entry area at 6 1/4. So 696 high, Joseph, on ASST. Very strong, almost 60% in the green right now.
Good look there, guys. All right, so yeah, we took a small scalp. I mean, it wasn't much, wasn't too many shares either, but I'm just going to be looking for the continuation of this downward momentum. And VWAP would be my ideal target here to get involved in this. But I also don't want to get in a squeeze, so it just vastly skews my risk to reward. So any closer that we get to VWAP, I think it's going to be much better to look for that slow curl over and then maybe the continuation to the downside. Or that could just be a large enough liquidity grab in order to get this market out of this chop, and then sure enough, you start to climb higher. It could be a complete nothing burger, no toppings whatsoever, right? And then sure enough, you can just continue to climb higher, because if that was enough liquidity absorbed, boom, we break through some key resistance zones, and then next thing you know, you're squeezing, everybody's getting covering their shorts, and then you get that nice momentum to the top side. I don't know if that's going to be the case today, but we just got to be patient and wait and see. I got wicked out of my IBIT trade, so we went 0 for 2 on that one, so I'm not even really looking at that underlying right now. It was heading towards the high, but then as soon as that catalyst came out, that news event, boom, just wicked me right out, and then sure enough, heading right back in towards the volume-weighted average price. We reject VWAP on the Qs, then that's when we get involved. But Adara, what do you got for us?
Touch on something else here with regards to these tariff letters. So in case you guys missed it, the market had a little bit of a drop there, as you can see here, into, I guess, lows below 551 for the Nasdaq after Donald Trump started posting on Truth Social, I guess, his letters on tariffs for Japan and South Korea. Well, why this is significant is because I went back on Truth Social because I remember he had mentioned earlier these letters. It turns out apparently they're starting to send these letters at 12 p.m. Eastern. So that was roughly just a little bit after that is when we got the first 2 letters. So that means, guys, we could see more letters. Just be aware, again, letters here from Donald Trump starting to send here at 12 p.m. Eastern. That does theoretically mean we could get some more. And do not forget, in about half an hour, Caroline Leavitt, White House press secretary, is going to be delivering a briefing at the White House, so things could get a lot more spicy. Back to you.
That's really good, Ram. Good video there. I like it. Everybody check out the new YouTube short. Is it on YouTube only, Ram? It's everywhere. Ram dropped, funny video between our very good friend Elon and our other good friend Donald.
He's dead to me.
The orange one.
You see, he's dead.
They're beefing. They're beefing again. I like how Elon is in the Cybertruck, though.
You like that?
Very appropriate. Of course, he's got it.
Next.
No, whatever. Everything's fine.
He's dead to me.
He's dead to me. All right, guys. AST is absolutely flying. It took out $7 like it doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter. 739 high of the day. It's zigging and zagging right now. It's up 70.25%. Again, you know, this is getting really extended. I'm keeping my eye on the 5. It doesn't have any pullbacks on the 5. I mean, this thing is just all gas, no brakes. So if you're looking for micro pullbacks, you're going to have to look for something like this, at least for now. So I'm going to keep my eye on AST. I don't mind trading it if it sets up in the right way, but, you know, we're not all there mental capacity-wise today, super tired, so it probably wouldn't be the best choice to want to trade something that requires a lot of mental dedication, and I'll submit to you that ASST likely does. If it comes off a key level, like if it comes into the 10 or a whole dollar level where there's been prior support, we'll take a smaller position on it. But this one is all gas, no brakes, 739 high on ASST. And look at this, Joseph. I love when they start coming in midday and look at that volume profile. That's your life right there, my man.
Yeah,
up into the right volume profile. There it is again, Joseph. 747, 750. This thing is squeezing right now. It's up 70%. There's a seller at the half dollar that's likely going to get absolutely run over. Cover your shorts and run for your life, Mr. 750 seller. They're coming for you, my man. If it's not now, it's going to be on a second attempt. You know how this works. Well, you know, there's going to be a seller who doesn't get run over at some point because this thing's not going to infinity, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, so the half dollar looks like it might get run over right now, Joseph. But the trade I'm keeping my eye on, my best one on the day, baby, VOR into the another high of the day. I didn't get a chance to add on to this. I didn't have this screen up while it dipped in between the 10 and the 20. That was an add opportunity. It dipped into 765, and now it's back into 283 in the same candle. So be on the lookout for that. Keeping my eye here. Shout out to Nimit. Please tell Ram that was a funny video. Hope this goes viral. Thanks for sharing. You got some love there, Ram.
Yeah, Ram. It was
Nimit. And I didn't tell him to say that or anything like that. Sir, only will be viral though if you guys comment, like, and share. You do the channel a great service. You guys already know that. Sir Poopy Hands. All right, Fabian. Fabian says dang right, Fabian? Dang right. Sir Poopy Hands, voice like a dang angel. That's not what my mom says. So, yeah. Big smile. Sharif. Okay, just had to read it. Big smile, because, you know, you're a liability, but we love you. Sharif, you remember that last Monday when you sold Tesla bears? When you told Tesla bears to cover their shorts and quit posting videos of robo-taxi film? You know why this is not, you know it's not selling off for the robo-taxi. Come on, Big Spile, you know that's not the case. You know that. The dude wants to start his own third party. Of course he's going to raise the ire of Donald Trump, who's going to obviously respond in the way that he does. Come on, Big Spile, you know that's not the case. But yes, you are absolutely right. I told them to cover their shorts and they'd be printing money. But Big Spile, in the grand scheme of things here, who do you think is up more on Tesla? Would you say it was the short sellers who have made more money in the long run or in the long game, or the longs who have made more money? I personally know the longs who have made more money, like just in my group of people. But others could have different experiences. I mean, they could have people who would take it your route through the puts, whatever, right? And that could have made absolute cake in 22. Remember where this thing went? 165. I mean, 165, I think we were in ADR, early 24, right? Early 24, we were in 165, because I remember... Yeah, thank you, Adara. I picked it up around there. So I know for a fact that it was around there. So you're absolutely wrong, absolutely right, Big Spile. You were promoting fake news. Yeah?
Who said that one now? Who said
Big
that?
Spile.
Oh.
Okay, Big Spile. I got you, my man.
Fake news. Fake news. You are fake news.
There he is. We love him. Absolutely right, but I think for different reasons. Joseph Wilson, what do you got?
Yeah. I'm short this market right at the volume-weighted average price here, guys. Yeah, so there it is. Boom. Let's see if we can get this rejection. If we break it, then I'll just hop out of this trade. sit on my hands for a little bit and wait for a prime time setup. But yeah, that's essentially what we're looking for. There is buying pressure within this candle, has me slightly alarmed, and it could be a liquidity grab too as well, because some of these big names are starting to climb. And I'll say it again, and I'll say it multiple times.
Say it, Joe.
If you're shorting the Qs or trading the Qs, you got to keep an eye on the Mag 7. What are they doing? NVDA. Now heading into some key resistance zones. Apple looks like it's put in a potential bottom. AMD is starting to climb higher as well too. Tesla hovering
Joseph,
around
I got to
the ball.
interrupt.
Yeah, go ahead.
VOR is squeezing here, guys. It's going to break 3, 296. We're flattening out the trade here. Big move up. Watch out for the sellers at 3. VOR, absolute squeeze here, but it's nothing. Sorry, Joseph, to interrupt you.
No.
But ASST is really going here, and this is absolutely wild here on AST. It's now 90% in Greensville. It took out 8 with an 830 high. Be on the lookout here for ASST. Okay, so I got to give you the information on this one because I do remember this one having a larger short float, and I'm right. So the float itself, 14.16 million shares with a short float of 22.25%. So of that 14 and change million share float, about 22.25% is borrowed for short. And so you can kind of make your educated guess as to where the longs are, sorry, not the longs, the shorts have been hanging out. And look at the daily, look at the 4 hour, see where the area highs are, where basically the buyers couldn't shake the sellers. And that is where, a lot of people could have initiated their shorts. 830 high. We're putting a topping tail candle right now, though, on ASST, with that now dipping down into 7 and 2/3, 7.25 coming into view here. The current candle low has a low of 7, I believe 723. 723. So if you base your entry anywhere here, I personally would be basing it on prior bar low, because this thing can absolutely give you a Christmas tree retracement quick as you like into that 830 area and then all the way back down. What I'm going to keep my eye on here are the micro pullbacks. And so we did get a micro pullback, as I mentioned, into about 760. We made an area high there of 816 on this little micro pullback, and now we're back down into 8. If we clear 816, 820, it could be an invitation to take out 830, because now we have that 830 high day, and then the second attempt there was high, I want to say 816, 817, and down below 8 we go. So now on the 5-second chart, we have 2 lower highs and 1 lower low. We make another lower low below that 760 area. So if we can get above, I think 820, 8 mid-teens, we could see a break of 830, and I think I'm going to punch in here. Here is the break of the 830 on the day. It didn't let me in. I don't know why. So we'll keep an eye on that. Not sure why that didn't let me in. In any event, 830 high again, Joseph, and dipping back down into 8. So this one looks like it might be encountering some resistance at the $1/3 of a dollar.
All right, good look.
Sorry to interrupt you.
No, not at all, man. That thing's moving really, really well here on the day. All right, so yeah, we're still short the overall market. This is what we got going on. You get this nice leg down. We rejected the volume weighted average price. That's exactly what I was looking for, with the stop just being slightly above this range right here. And I'm also looking for an add opportunity, right? For that test of the low of the day, this might be a good chance. I'm going to put on some size here as well, too. But the thing is, I'm just looking across the board, and there's so much chop and churn, Sharif. It's just like, man, it's so frustrating. Pick a direction, won't you? So there we go. We added a little bit here, not as much as I was thinking. But again, we just added more size to the position, trying to make it as large as we were comfortable with, slightly uncomfortable with. We have to break 83 for it to head towards that low of the day. But we also need some of these names to start to tank as well. Apple is now heading towards the low of the day as well, putting in some really bearish PA here, guys. So hopefully this can drag the market down with us. And then also NVDA rejecting through that resistance zone. Sorry, I'm trying to display it to you here, guys. So there you go. You can see multiple touches right at this level that we had marked out before. And now we're currently rejecting it. So if NVDA wants to participate, we're going to be laughing. Apple is going to be turning out really, heading towards that low of the day. Possibly going to be putting in one momentarily here as well, Sharif. So 210.49 is AAPL. Let's see what we got going on. We got to crack that low, 210.37, we'll call it. If it drags the market down, we're going to be having a good time. With that being said, I know a couple people in the chat were asking me about Palantir's options chain. I don't see anything that stands out. Sharif, you were talking about some institutions being short this name. At 145, we have 24,000 open contracts. What was the high of the day here on PLTR?
What was it?
Let's see. I don't think it was anywhere close to that, but a nice inverted hammer. Oh, wow, Gorev, Los Pollos. Look at that one there. Wow, what a missed opportunity. Look at this. Look at that volume print right there on that too, Sharif. But we didn't even quite get to 145. It was 139.27. And then what do I see at 131?
What do you see?
Crazy. Nothing crazy, right? Nothing substantial. So that call wall not coming into play, but I do believe that's going to be max pain on the week for the Bears is 145 because there's 24,000 open contracts right there. So that is the Palantir options chain. What else do we got going on here, guys? I had something else that I wanted to bring up. Oh yeah, that's the Apple options chain to see what we have going on from that front as well. Why are we rejecting 213 and why can't we climb higher? Well, guess what? We have congestion of open interest through 215 to 220. Right at that 215 strike price, we got 24,900 contracts. 217.5, we have 14,000, and then 220, we have 21,000. Just so you guys can see it here, we have a nice little zone. So that's going to act as some downward pressure. You can see we're now heading towards this 210 strike, right, which has 20,700 contracts open there. And if you head south of that, then watch out because that next level is going to be 27.05. But what's starting to work out for us?
What?
That is the Q short right now. Good look there on Palantir. Yeah, that is so beautiful on Palantir. I wish I was keeping my eyes on that. Boom, you get that big parabolic move to the top side, you get that pullback, and then you establish that new high of the day, Sharif, and then you get that.
You want me to give you a nice trick on our platform?
Yeah.
You can filter your scanner to show you stocks that are putting in inverse hammer candles.
No way.
So, for example, I know you don't care about them on other stocks. You want to keep your eye on the 7 and the other bigger players like the hoods and stuff like that.
Yeah,
or like the mid-cap names. I mean, that's just, it's your jam, right?
Yeah, for
sure.
So
you can kind of narrow the market cap and the volume and everything so that you can have the topping till candle, if it detects it, it will show up on your scanner. So the scanner will literally be blank. I'll set it up for you.
Yes, let's do that, right? Yeah. So we can do volume print, like the volume. So the volume has to exceed, we'll say 1.5.
Market cap. So you can narrow the market cap you want, and then you can choose chart patterns or candlestick patterns in isolation or together.
No way.
Yeah,
and that's just straight on the scanner itself.
It literally will show up. So this will be black. This will all be black, and then it'll come up as they manifest. And then in the column, it'll show you whatever it's an inverse hammer, bearish engulfing, bullish engulfing, whatever
really?
it is. Yeah.
Wow, man, that's wicked. Yeah. Okay.
Figured that you might want that.
Yeah. Most definitely could have told me a long time.
It just came to me now.
No, it's all good. I'm only messing with you anyways. No, that would be fantastic. We're gonna set that up, and we're gonna most definitely relay it to you guys as well too. So that's gonna be with some wicked stuff. Yeah, I didn't know we could do that. I was talking to Jose too. I'm like, hey, you should write an imbalance algo where it's just like when you have a notional value that's something like substantial, like $1 billion or something, just boom, just hit it as soon as, because it's so hard to grab that initial spike on the imbalances. But if you have that algo that's ready for you, boom, you have that notional value, boom, right away.
Absolutely.
Right away. Jail, right away.
All right, guys, I'm keeping an eye here on EP. Okay, so before I get to that daily day trade, can we see what you guys are talking about? So essentially, it's like a stock scanner. So let's bring in, what's it called, e-signal. It would be something like this, right? It would just like show up over here, but they would be blank. And then the stock would only show up if your parameters hit. So if you gave it specific instructions, only show me stocks above a 50 billion market cap. Only show me stock. Go ahead, Joe.
No, go ahead. I just hit the siren.
Only show me stocks that have done more than 10 million shares of volume on the day. And then here's the chart pattern or the candlestick pattern that I want to see. If one of these stocks that fits within this market cap and with this volume profile does one of these chart patterns or candlestick patterns bring it up on the scanner, and that's exactly what it does. It's not foolproof, let me be honest with you, because sometimes it doesn't read the chart pattern or the candlestick pattern as well as maybe, you know, a human would have, but it's just improving. It's not going to go down into the right. It's just going to improve. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm talking about there. A stock scanner basically shows you what stocks are moving within your given parameters that you've already set. That's kind of what I mean by that. I hope everybody got my drift there. All right, ELPW, guys, I said very little about this one, but it remained on my side chart, and look at this one go. Got in a pullback off the 10 exponential, and the reason is I got off the 10 exponential is because of this. Look at the umpteen amount of respect. Since 9:30 today, there has been all but one time on the 5-minute chart that the 10 EMA got breached. It was right here at 10:55. Otherwise, it hasn't been breached. So I said to myself, like, is this a good time as any? So I got in, where did I get in? I got in at 84s, 86s over here at the 10 exponential, and now this has a high of the day of 210, and we took some decent size with this one. Here it goes again into that 210 high. I don't know where to take it out. 215, maybe 210 over here is as good a price as any. That's exactly actually where I'm not gonna take it out there because it looks like 210 might get taken. But we're gonna pack our patience here. ELPW up a nice, man, 78% on the day. This was a quiet one. Let me tell you, it's not doing too much in the way of volume. Only got about 8 million shares of volume on the day, so it's not your ASST. And there it is at 13s, and we will take it out there. Very happy with this trade. I didn't even sit in it for that long. We've been in it for less than 10 minutes, and then it pops up quite aggressively. Be on the lookout now for a retracement, possibly again, surprise, surprise, into that 10 exponential, of which has been ridiculously respectful of on the day. So again, if this pulls in to that 10 EMA, I'm going to get in. With my L being prior bar low, as always. So ELPW on the rampage to the high side here. Joseph, what do you got?
Good luck there, guys. All right, yeah, so this is what I'm talking about, just following the volume. Apple is now putting a new low a day there, guys. So 209.98 is AAPL. I have some swing shares, I think, at 107, just 108. So I only have $2 in the money now. So I have no issues closing that break even. I'm not going to hold on to Apple for too long. But why was I trading that one? Never mind that. We're going to focus on what we got going on with the TQs here, guys. We were waiting for that. We're looking for the continuation in the volume. I don't have any complex thesis whatsoever. It's like, okay, we get that volume spike to the downside. The momentum was there. The volume was backing it. Wait for that pullback towards VWAP and then look to add into that. And then that's exactly what we did here. So we got that. We got the nice strong move to the downside. You can see the health within these bearish prints. And then as we slowly start to recover and retrace back towards VWAP, you can see how indecisive a lot of these price action prints were, and then that's why I'm like, okay, let's go. As soon as we start to turn around, we're going to start to enter this position. It really started to work out. It gives me another engulfing bearish print, and then that's when I add more to that position. This was only a 66% add compared to what we had right there, Sharif. Ooh. We're going to take a little bit more off right there, my friend, as we get a big time spike to the downside on the TQs, guys. Yeah, so a big time move that we're experiencing on that one. So just looking to follow the momentum. The whole session has been a choppy mess. It was only a matter of time until one side of the party, one group, the Bears or the Bulls, were to take decisive action. You get that catalyst, and then sure enough, now we're seeing the Bears start to dominate the session here. Apple, just weak, continuous bites taken out of that one. Bitcoin now going back south of that 108K level, 61.35 on IBIT. Palantir selling, but we got.
There's big news, Joseph, very big news out of Vietnam. VinFast, under ticker VFS on the Nasdaq, has just opened its second EV factory in Ha Tinh. Built under 7 months, guys. The 360,000 square meter plant is going to produce about 200,000 vehicles per year. It'll focus on compact EVs like the VF3 mini SUV and the Minio Green, designed for transport services. With automation from ABB, Siemens, and others, this marks a major step in VinFast's push to double deliveries by 2025. So stay tuned, baby. VinFast. Still happen to like their VF9. That's my favorite card that they have there in the lineup. The VF8, though, is the big seller. It's the one that I see on the roads most, and I'm seeing a lot more of them. They're not Teslas. They're not, you know, Polestar in Toronto anyway. I know that Polestar maybe not that big of a brand in the States. It's huge here. But yeah, I'm seeing a lot more VinFast, so some anecdotal evidence. And as I mentioned to you guys, they do have a showroom in the best mall in the city, obviously for some exposure there. Get it, Adara. So yeah, go Yorkdale. Yeah, Adara knows exactly what I'm talking about. So yeah, good look for VinFast there, Joseph. Did you have anything to cover, or because I've got some stuff?
I was going to show you something. Yeah,
I want to see it. No,
yeah, here, I'll show you. We can't show that. We can't show it here. We can't show the chat here. I mean,
18A?
Yeah, it's 18A.
Oh.
You know who that is?
Yes, I do. I'm not a fan, though.
No?
No.
Why?
I don't like her attitude.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Eh?
I dislike her genuinely.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
well, that was a little lackluster. All right.
But I can appreciate that.
You can appreciate that. All right, then that's all that matters. No, guys, before we send it back to stream, unfortunately, you guys can't see that one, but that's the beauty of it. We're still short the TQs here. We enter the position 66% add instead of doubling it up there. So now we take a little bit off as we head into this base. We've rejected that now, but if the market wants to continue to sell, we have some shares and we have the bulk of our position still remaining, 66% of the total position remaining for something south of 82.58 or 82.60s, we'll call it. We'll take 33% off at 82.50 if we get there, Sharif.
Joe, this feels good, eh?
Oh,
those are the best feeling. I don't want this to make another high. If it makes another high, it's gonna kill the vibe.
Yeah. No, it's done. Look at it. Look at that big engulfing print right there.
We'll see. Still above.
That's a nice trade there.
Yeah, I know that just feels the best when it's at the top, bro. It's one thing that you never get as a trader, the bottom or the top or enough share size. You're always gonna hate. You're always gonna hate.
You provided the liquidity there, right?
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah. Market maker Sharif.
There it is.
I like other Zinc. He doesn't even know what we're talking about when he's down. I'll tell you later, other Zinc. Shout out to you, my man. It's someone that everybody really probably does know.
We could say her name, Sofia Vergara.
Vergara. I'm pretty sure that's what.
This is the guy who's practicing Spanish.
Yeah, well, it's the last name. I'm sure they don't have that in Duo, by the way. I'm going to do the news, Joseph. You got anything you want to cover before I jump into the news?
No, let's hop right into that, brother.
All right, man, let's do this. So some interesting stuff today. A lot of tariff-related news, as I'm sure you guys can imagine, with the BRICS headline coming in on the weekend. We'll get to that one in a second. But let's talk a little bit here about our friends at Tesla. Elon Musk revealed his plans to start a new political party. He's dubbing it, Adara, the America Party. And oh boy, she says. And that what they're looking with this new America Party, says Elon, to target about 2 or 3 Senate seats, I'm assuming, in the upcoming midterms, and about 8 to 10 House seats. Shout out to Fabian on the 1s and 2s. He claims this would give his party, or the America Party, excuse me, leverage as a swing vote between the Dems and the Republicans on controversial pieces of legislation, which would, according to him, push for policies aligned with the true will of the people. But that has obviously annoyed a lot of investors. Musk's re-entry into politics reignites investor anxiety, myself included here, with critics citing distraction from Tesla's core business. Wedbush Danny Ives, not pleased with the move, warned that the move is the opposite direction, Joseph, of what shareholders want amid a critical period for Tesla's growth story. You know, they just kind of got their wings under their sails, and they had the robo-taxi going. By the way, Guy asked, is taking out highs again. Wow. It is on the rampage. We're going to show it quickly over here. 960 high. Trade this carefully for the love of you know what, guys. Please, because, you know, as quickly as it moves up, we know what this one will do. So don't be the one holding the bag. Make sure you are using sound risk management skills. That includes a stop. Moving on here with the Trump and Musk beef. Donald Trump obviously not very happy with this America Party story. He slammed the move, calling it ridiculous and claiming that Musk has gone off the rails. The two have feuded over policy, obviously, including Musk's opposition of parts of Donald Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill. It's not the story, but nothing that I'm really shocked about either, Joseph, because he had made he's shown his displeasure about parts of the bill.
Yeah, I'm going to take a page out of Danny Ives' book here and just say I think this is a shot across the bow for Tesla investors. He just hopped out of Doge. You can see how the market reacted to that. And then now he decides that he wants to start his own political party, just essentially just diving right back, getting his feet dirty, and what investors were excited that he is now no longer involved in and had the ability to focus on Tesla, release of the robo-taxi in Austin in late June there, guys. And then now he's decided to go back into that kind of mode. I don't think this is a good look for investors. And me personally, I'm glad that I don't own that stock. But I think he should avoid this and just focus on what he's got going on with Tesla, get those optimist spots out, continue to expand this fleet, and then I think investors would be very much more satisfied opposed to him trying to start a plan.
I would have to agree with that, and obviously as a Tesla investor, not too happy, but to be expected.
Yeah.
Adair.
Yeah, the other thing I want to remind you guys of as well, we do have Caroline Leavitt, White House press secretary, who's going to be hosting a press conference at the White House at 1 p.m. Eastern. The stream right now is already live, though there's no video feed yet on the White House YouTube. I find the White House YouTube page to be the most timely. I mean, maybe you could expect that it is the most timely of these streams of these White House press conferences, so just be aware. She is speaking, but don't worry, I will be covering it live for you all. I also want to mention, I saw this note, oddly enough, just now coming through on Apple from Goldman Sachs. They did give it a buy, or they maintained a buy at a $253 price target, but the commentary is a little bit mixed, as we've seen quite a lot on these Apple upgrades as of late, or Apple positive notes. They said that they recognize market demand is probably going to be challenged because overall mobile phone market trends are worsening, but they did they talk here about 10% year-over-year decline in China, which is apparently outperforming the broader Chinese market, though. Apparently, the first month of outperformance relative to the broader Chinese smartphone market since May 2024. So basically, even though Apple sales did decline, they're doing better than overall China sales. So apparently a good sign here for Goldman Sachs on AAPL. Really quickly before I go back to you guys as well, on the Trump-Musk news, there's a lot of really interesting parts of that Truth Social post from Trump about Elon Musk. For one, he says that he started going off the rails 5 weeks ago, which is, of course, when he left Doge, so interesting correlation there. And then the other thing that's pretty interesting is he talks a lot about the EV tax credit. He says the mandate is the main reason why Elon Musk actually, I guess, wants to oppose the big, beautiful bill. And then Trump says, well, he should have known better because I've always been campaigning on getting rid of this mandate. And now Americans can buy any kinds of cars they want. That's the other thing that was pretty interesting about that post. Back to you.
That's crazy,
Yeah.
Ram.
Yeah.
That's crazy. The one race. Okay, I'll show it after.
Yeah.
Anything you want to cover, Joseph, before we move on to tariffs?
No, we just finished on.
All right, let's get. ASST is halted, guys. $10.21. This thing is a rocket ship. It's continuing to go. We're going to be covering it as soon as we're done the news, quite frankly. But, you know, with all the volatility that this one has put in, and it's put in plenty, let me tell you, the trend is still very much intact with the higher lows. Very much what I am noticing on this chart here with bottoming tail candles all being higher lows. So ASST halted, $10.21. Just going to look quickly over here. Where is my ASST trade? So the last print that we got, guys, on ASST, so that was like a dark pool. So it looks like it was, I don't know if that's right or wrong, guys. It looks like it came in there 1 p.m. and 8 seconds. I'm seeing the other prints, all of them, at 12:59:21. So take one of those numbers and then add 5 onto it, and that should be when the opening print is. And as you can see there, the theoretical auction price slated to open lower, showing me $10. And this is a Nasdaq stock, so we will have the top now showing me $9.90 on that. So that is the look there. Let's go back over here, though, and talk a little bit about the tariff timeline, because it's changed. So U.S. tariffs now set to go into effect on August 1st, not July 9th, as had been previously expected by investors. Trump apparently still finalizing the rate and the scope of the tariffs, according to Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent stated tariffs will revert back to their April 2nd levels. That's Liberation Day on August 1st if no trade deal is signed. Markets were bracing for tariff implementation this week as the 90-day suspension, the reprieve that is, was going to end on Tuesday. That is not the case. That has been kicked down the road. The S&P 500 and the Nasdaq, for their parts, closed at all-time highs on Friday, on the shortened day on Friday. Obviously, traded partly on the belief that most of the aggressive tariffs wouldn't happen. It's unclear now what trade policy, whether the trade policy now risks, undermining the market optimism, especially if the aggressive tariffs do proceed. And there's a lot of, but there is the other side of the coin here. The other side of the coin is earnings, which are around the corner, could come in far better than expected. Some analysts remain bullish despite this tariff mix-up, betting that companies can beat the lowered earnings expectations if they navigated the tariffs well during these period of months. For his part, Tom Lee of Fundstrat sees tariff-related disruption as a possible upside earnings surprise, calling the rally the most hated V-shaped recovery. Yeah, I can kind of get behind that sentiment because I would have rather it not happen. But the fact is it happened, Joseph, and you've got to deal with it. And so I'm not going to say I hate it, but I'm also going to say I'd rather it didn't happen.
The V-shape?
The V-shaped retracement,
You don't.
I obviously I don't hate it because markets are back at all-time highs. What kind of idiot would I be? But I would have rather it didn't dip. Obviously, that was going to happen.
You would rather not see
tariffs.
the 20%.
I mean,
the 20%.
The market had to price it in.
Yeah, exactly. And I think what the market's doing right now, guys, is pricing in the best case scenario. So when you see these headlines come out, just be cautious again, right? Because when you can go back into a headline-sensitive market, and then boom, you can start taking. But it's good that the deadline is now prolonged to that August date. But for me personally, it's a really tough look. That V-shaped reversal, obviously a lot of cash on the sidelines, but where I stand from a technical perspective is that it was too quick and too fast. So if you have those consecutive negative headlines and you have an abundance of them continuously coming out, watch for a 5 to 10% pullback in the overall market, in my opinion. Could I be totally wrong? Absolutely. Do I hope I'm wrong? Absolutely. But just because I feel that the market and a lot of analysts have claimed that the best case scenario is priced in, just watch out for some more potential downside.
All right. That's not the only tariff-related news, guys. We got even more news coming out of Donald Trump, this time threatening the BRICS countries. So Trump threatened an additional 10% tariff on any country, not just the BRICS countries, on any country aligning with what he called the anti-American policies of BRICS. This kind of vague statement came as BRICS leaders met in Rio de Janeiro, indirectly criticizing the U.S. tariff actions, not calling out the U.S. by name, but, obviously there can be no other person or other country. Trump posted the warning on his social media platform, Truth Social, stating that there would be no exceptions to this 10% tariff policy. ASST is open, 1045 high. It's below 10 right now. It's a topping tail into 1045. Prior bar low is around 835. We could halt before that to the downside, though. It is looking like an ugly candle right now, but we've seen this story. It is still a higher low and a higher high on this current candle here on ASST. Trade this carefully, guys. It's really moving here, the number one gapper in the market. BRICS, for their part, they pushed back, Fabe. They said basically here, the leaders of BRICS issued a joint statement condemning unilateral trade measures without directly naming the United States, as I mentioned. The bloc warned that increasing reciprocal tariff risks distorting trade, violating the World Trade Organization rules, and worsening global inequality. That's their opinion. The trade experts speculate that Trump refers to BRICS' efforts to reduce dependence on the U.S. financial system and the dollar, but there was no direct response issued from BRICS in Brazil in response to Donald Trump's 10% tariffs. Go ahead, Adara. I think we got breaking news.
It's pretty wild here, Sharif. We actually have news about the BRICS story as you're delivering it. Isn't that pretty crazy? Reuters reporting here, citing an unnamed source, that apparently the U.S. is not going to impose the new 10% tariff against BRICS members immediately if they take action against these, quote, anti-American policies. So if these BRICS countries decide to, I guess, not go for these anti-American policies as identified by Donald Trump, then the U.S. will not immediately pose this new 10% tariff. It's a little bit unclear how all this is going to unfold or be implemented. But either way, this report coming in from Reuters, and I think very timely as you guys are discussing it right now. Back to you.
Perfect timing, Adair. Straight up.
Good, there you go.
On one last little tidbit here, Joseph. The bloc BRICS, that is, has now, it includes 11 countries now, including Iran, the UAE, Egypt, Indonesia. There's obviously China, Brazil, Russia. And the thing about BRICS is that it's a mixed bag. Some are more antagonistic with the United States. We can just Russia, China. And then there's some that are not. UAE, Egypt, Brazil. These are not antagonistic to the United States. In fact, the U.S. has a military base in Egypt and in the UAE. It's kind of interesting here what's happening. It's, some of these countries are going to be really careful walking that fine line between the two, east and west, so to speak, if we can kind of say that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we'll have to see how that all goes. Anything you want to chime in about that?
No. You can continue to move, guys. I'm posted up here on the TQs to see if we can get that fill around 82.50. So that's where we're going to place that order at. But the market does seem like it wants to bounce. NVDA heading right into these resistance zones once again. So if we get that rejection, then maybe we can get that move that we're looking for to that specific target. Other than that, Google is really, really weak on the day as well, too, guys. What is my 67 is my average price here on this name. I've already pieced out 66% of that, so I got in around here, 68 maybe, and then now we're starting to pull back. We couldn't break through that 82 level, and you can see that there's some key resistance in that zone there, guys. Multiple touches right around that where we rejected previously, so maybe we need to absorb some more liquidity before you make that move. But this channel, you can see, is still fully intact until otherwise. Just hold on. You have a good average. If it comes back to your break even, you've already taken off the majority of the position. That's fine. Leave the rest for a runner. And if you get that break of that 182, then you'll be sitting pretty on some pretty pennies right there, Sharif.
Absolutely, Joseph. Can you just give for 1 second?
Absolutely. So totally. So guys, I'm still in this trade here. You can see that we took a nice little scalp. I was just like, oh, okay, that was a little bit of an impulsive move here. You can see a massive engulfing candle that was on that on the Korean headline there. And then I'm like, all right, let me punch this. I was slightly late on it, so I'm like, okay, just get out of it. And then sure enough, if you're patient enough and you have all those signals that are confirming the trade, you have the momentum to the downside and you have the volume profile backing that thesis. Now you just wait for that retracement, for that pullback. You head into the volume weighted average price. You see the indecision with all those bullish prints. The engulfing bearish ones are more genuine, more genuity within that. And then sure enough, that's when we get into the position, we add into it to try to make it as large as we possibly can while staying within our risk measures. And then sure enough, we take the move to the downside.
All right, guys, let's talk about these new plans by the U.S. to possibly curb sales of advanced AI chips to both Malaysia and Thailand because they feel it could be a conduit for China. So the Trump administration is drafting rules to restrict NVIDIA AI chip shipments, as I mentioned, to Malaysia and Thailand, aiming to stop diversion to China. The move seeks to tighten enforcement of the previous administration's semiconductor export bans, targeting Chinese access to advanced several U.S. AI hardware blocks. Malaysia and Thailand are kind of seen as potential smuggling hubs or indirect suppliers to China due to the surging chip trade activity. Where did we hear this story before, Joseph? I'm getting shades of Singapore.
Not Singapore.
So it was Singapore, dog. Yeah, Singapore. Now they've just chosen Thailand and Malaysia. They keep going to Southeast Asia. And you're going to keep tracking where all the chips are going. So it's going to be a game of cat and mouse, you kind of feel. You know, with China looking.
That's exactly what it's going to be.
Right? So we'll have to see what country they choose next. Southeast Asia is in the spotlight here. Trade flows and investments in Malaysian data centers, for example, Oracle, have surged, raising U.S. concerns about unmonitored AI chip movement. A Singapore court case kind of shed a lot of light on this. So this is interesting here, Adara. A Singapore court case revealed alleged smuggling of AI servers to Malaysia, further stoking fears of chip diversion. NVIDIA was not implicated in the actual court case itself, but obviously, bless you, Ram. Try to keep it down, please. Thailand and Malaysia have both responded cautiously. Malaysia stressed the need for clear and consistent policies. The U.S. officials are weighing how to balance, obviously, the AI chip security with the the concurrent strategic desire for the American chips to be the ones that dominate the global AI race. You don't want to curb exports of a very important commodity, or in this case, technology, when there's a potential for competing power to fill that vacuum. We've all heard about Huawei and the gains that they're making, especially with the 5 and the 4 nanometer technology. I know that's not the cutting edge. It's the 2 and the 3 nanometer that are really leading the way. But it feels to me like, necessity is the mother of all invention. And if you're going to force the Chinese hand, they probably will get it right. They've gotten it right on many other technologies. So that's kind of how I feel about that. That's just an opinion. The U.S. and ally headquartered companies will be allowed to ship AI chips to Malaysia and Thailand without license for a limited time. After this enactment, we don't know exactly when the time will elapse, and the supply chain critical operations such as chip packaging will have targeted license exemptions to prevent manufacturing bottlenecks. Joseph.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with everything you have to say there, Sharif. You don't want to kind of cut off the Chinese completely. You still want them to use the American technology, so they can't necessarily surpass you in this chip race and in this AI race. So we all know what was going on with the H20. That's not a good look. But then also it helped NVDA kind of expand its horizons. Donald Trump did a great job in the Gulf Coast, in the Gulf countries. But in my opinion, yeah, you still want these Chinese to use these American chips, whether they're the dumbed down version or whatever they may be. You don't want to completely cut them off, as Sharif said earlier.
All right, guys, let's get to Weebull. They raised a little bit of money today to the tune of about $1 billion via this Yorkville deal. So Bull has entered into what they call a standby equity purchase agreement with YA, I don't know, the second PN. It's a fund managed by Yorkville Advisors. First I'm hearing of them. The deal gives Weebull flexible access to capital, allowing it to raise funds as needed over time. It's good for, a newer company to have some access to capital. The agreement permits Weebull to issue about $1 billion in Class A ordinary shares to Yorkville over a period of 3 years. So this Billy here is going to be backed by, looks like Weebull shares. Weebull can elect when and how much capital to draw, depending on market conditions and the internal needs of the company. But it does come at a discounted price. So Yorkville will purchase shares at about a 2.5% discount to the market price based on each one-day pricing window chosen by Weebull. I've never seen it structured like that, but that's interesting. This structure enables Weebull to capitalize on favorable market conditions while minimizing share dilution. Weebull does plan to use this agreement to strategically raise capital only when needed. Joseph.
Yes, sir. Let's pull up Weebull from a technical standpoint, Sharif, so we can just get a good idea of what we're looking at here. I mean, this
oh
name,
boy.
Yeah, oh boy is right. I like how you chuckled as well. So guess how much, you probably already seen that. From our IPO, our first couple weeks of the IPO.
And they all haven't been this way, though, to be fair.
No.
This one is a bit of an outlier, is it not? Like,
big
look
time.
at CoreWeave Circle.
CoreWeave was a good one, but 83.9%, 84% of a haircut. So if you were punching up in the 50s, 60s, it's just like, for me, just get out of the, I'm not saying right now you've been bang holding, so you may as well just wait a little bit more. Maybe you could DCA if you can allocate some more. But if you go through any form of a drawdown like that, you should have been out of that name at like a 20%, 20 to 30% drawdown. And it's just like, all right, I'm going to accept my losses. And then sure enough, if you just decide to bag hold, you're now sitting down 90%. It's going to take a long time for this name to get back to these levels. Let me use this as an example here, Sharif.
Sir.
And that's going to be Robinhood, right? So from Robinhood's IPO, you rip all the way up to 85.24, and that's August of 2021, right? And then now it's literally 4 years later until it even heads up back into that level.
Sometimes they don't come back.
And sometimes they don't come back.
Show the weekly on that. That's the mother of all rounded bottoms, isn't it?
Big
I just
time.
know it. Look at this.
Oh, wow. I knew they was going to do that
So
to me.
embarrassing.
Yeah,
Even TradingView, for real?
Yeah. Well, that's the...
Oh,
yeah, man.
my God.
Oh, man.
Shout out to Mega since 1492. I love this guy's name. Mega since 1492. Dropping $5 in the chat. Who else made 20% buying puts today? Shout out to you, my man. That's money. Cha-ching on your end. Hope you're doing it. Hope you're doing it live and you're doing fantastic. Thank you, Mega.
There you go.
Since 1492 for the $5 super chat.
There you go.
All right, Joseph, we're going to weasel on over to Apple. Talk a little Apple here. So the legal challenge by Apple over the EU fine, AKA the I'm broke, so I need to charge you fines to shore up the balance sheet. Apple has formally appealed a €500 million fine, which is about 587 million US dollars, imposed by the European Commission for violating their most coveted Digital Markets Act, known as a DMA. The fine stemmed from Apple's App Store rules, which allegedly restricted developers from redirecting users to cheaper deals outside of Apple's ecosystem. We've made a lot about this both in Europe and North America. Apple filed the lawsuit on Monday, which was the last day to appeal, stating that the Commission's decision goes far beyond what the law requires, referring to the DMA, I'm assuming. The company claims the EU is overstepping by trying to dictate what their business terms are and that they're confusing for developers and bad for users. That's the Apple allegation. In response to the April decision, Apple overhauled its App Store rules last month to comply with the DMA and avoid daily fines, Joseph, of 50 million euros a day, bro. I don't have to make my opinion known on that anymore. I just think, anyway, whatever. The updates removed both technical and commercial limitations on developers, but were framed by Apple's compliance as compliance under duress. The European Commission is now gathering feedback, so they're not even happy with all that. You know, they're not even happy with all that Apple's done. Now they're asking for other people's opinions on whether Apple's complying with the law. What? The European Commission is now gathering feedback from app developers to determine whether Apple's new policies meet regulatory expectations. You're the regulator, bro. Why are you asking everybody else? Depending on the feedback, the EU may either accept or change or push for stricter adjustments, keeping pressure on Apple. Adair.
What a joke.
Just so you guys know here, Caroline Levitt has not begun this White House press conference, but the other thing I really wanted to mention here is Uber, UBER, just falling sharply, but already pushing back some of this TechCrunch, reporting that Waymo was starting its robotaxi testing in Philadelphia and New York City. UBER, again, pushing lower on this, but it's already recovered a lot of that drop. Back to you.
Thank you for that, Adair.
Yeah.
Thank you, Vaughn Clark, for the $2 super chat,
exactly.
by the way.
Thank you, VC there, brother. Much appreciated. But just before we touch on this, who would want to even do business now in the EU?
Bro,
even though they're going to, it's just like, why? We had this going on with our capital gains tax, but now you're going to have this digital tax on all these guys. Why would they? It's like, obviously you're going to have business, but it's not intriguing people to have startups or anything along those lines.
And it feels like they're just taxing American companies.
Right, that's all it is. That's essentially what it is, right? So, because they know how much cash they have. They got a lot of cash on hand, so it's like, oh, well, we need to get our hands involved in that. But here it is, guys. Mira Pharmaceuticals, VC, Vaughn Clark, thank you for that $2 super chat. I mean, I wouldn't be trading this name, and you can see there's obviously liquidity issues. That's what happens with some of these biotechs, right? You get these big-time pops. You can see there when did it open up? The 23rd of August, 2023, sorry, the 3rd of August, 2023, and then it's essentially lost all of its value from that point there. So me personally, I'm not going to be trading this. Your best bet is to wait for something positive, a catalyst to come out, and you need that volume to kick in from a daily standpoint. But other than that, if things are going to be trading within this range, suspect that it's going to continue to do the same thing until otherwise you're going to need something positive in order for it to break out, because it's been in that consolidation zone for quite some time there, Sharif.
All right. Thank you for that, Joseph. Amazon Prime Day returns bigger and badder than ever, according to them. So Amazon Prime Day 2025 is going to be Amazon's first ever 4-day Prime event. It's going to run from the 9th to the 12th across 20 countries. Analysts, though, are super bullish on this, Joseph. They estimate could generate about $21 billion in global merchandise value. That would be a 60% bump year over year. That's not small potatoes. The event is expected to be Amazon's largest ever, setting new records in both sales and the number of items sold. But their competitors are not just taking this lying down. Specifically, I'm talking about Target and Walmart. So they're also launching competing sales to capture on the Prime Day momentum, so to speak. Target, for their part, they've got something called Circle Week, which runs basically the same time from the 7th to the 13th, obviously, of this month. So that starts today. Walmart's going to do their deals event. That's going to run from tomorrow to the 11th, both offering steep discounts across multiple categories to compete with Amazon. Back to school sales and early holiday prep. Early holiday prep, bro. We just got into July. Calm the hell down. Are key forces for many retailers during this window. I didn't know that. Amazon is rolling out today's big deals, sort of look. That's going to be themed daily offers along with generative AI search tools to improve product discovery. So they're going to have some new tools there for those who haven't been on Amazon in a while, coming back for Prime Day. Amazon's new AI tools include a personalized recommendation generator as well as a chat-style assistant for navigating deals more efficiently. So until this morning anyway, Joseph, Amazon was one of the stronger Mag 7 names. It looks like that's been taken over by Meta, but Amazon's barely negative, down 0.12. So
that's the one.
Yeah, so certainly not bad day. Wisp away. Prime Day starts tomorrow, not 7. So I'm told here, well, it says it's running July 9th to 12th. So the article that I reviewed is incorrect. Obviously, I wouldn't type that in on my own. Thank you for pointing that out, but make sure to double check when it's running in your country. Anything out there on Amazon, my man?
Yeah, I mean, Amazon from a technical standpoint, guys, it's been pretty good. I mean, off of these lows. Another big time move, and this is what I'm talking about. It's just only a matter of time until you get this pullback that we're experiencing. A lot of choppy PA, guys, but off of Liberation Day lows, you can see that Amazon is up 38%, right? And then what was our deepest pullback here? We'll go from this peak to this trough. Okay, a 7% pullback, so that's not too bad. You get the majority of this gap filled here, but I mean, it's only a matter of time until these names start playing. Well, they are playing catch up currently, but it's only a matter of time, I think, until Amazon hits ATH. ATH is there. I think Amazon Web AWS is phenomenal, and they're definitely getting their hands in a lot of industries like Zoox. They're going to start to become a competitor with Waymo and obviously Elon's autonomy. I'm curious to what kind of system they use, whether it's LiDAR or it's a camera-based system.
What are we talking about?
Zoox.
Oh, it's a very good question. I think almost everybody except Tesla is using
LiDAR. Yeah. I'm going to ask my good friend Cole.
Everybody.
I'm going to ask my good friend Cole.
Yeah, find out. And while I complain about this, another EU action against yet another American company, this time filed by a group of independent publishers who have filed what they call an antitrust complaint against Google with the European Commission. It was filed back on June 30th. It accuses Google of abusing its dominant search position, but not for why you might think. Listen to this. The focus here is on Google's AI overview feature. So if you use Google lately and you submit a query or a search, usually on the top, it'll be a Gemini summary of what some of the results show, and that is what they're complaining about there, and I'll show you why. Okay, they're saying that Google's overview feature, which they claim diverts traffic from original publisher content and reduces both readership and ad revenue. So Google AI Overviews launched in the US back in May, display AI-generated summaries at the top of the search results. These summaries link to suggested sites, but often push organic publisher links below the fold, kind of hurting visibility, and as well as you can imagine the click-through rates, which are a big metric in that whole world. Some queries also trigger AI-specific ads. In addition to that, further shifting traffic and the monetization away from traditional publishers. And the issue is they can't opt out. That's their beef. So the publishers allege they cannot opt out of this Google crawling their content for AI training without disappearing altogether from the standard search. So this lack of consent, they argue, amounts to forced participation in Google's AI development at their own expense, again, because their search results get kicked down the road or kicked down the page there. A Google spokesperson told Reuters that AI overviews increase, in fact, search engagement and offer new discovery paths for the publishers. Google attributes traffic changes to several other reasons other than the ones being posited here by the claimants. They say a mix of seasonal shifts, user behavior is part of it, as well as regular algorithm updates, not solely the focus here on AI overviews. So you feel like this idea? Let's find out if it even works on in Canada. So we'll go to Google. Joseph, let's do this right now. We're going to go google.ca. All right, let's give me something here.
You want anything?
Who won the Jays game yesterday? Let's see what it is. That's a basic one here, Joseph. So it just gives me that. It doesn't give me an AI overview. So let's ask it something else.
Who is the best boxer of all time?
No, it's not giving us. Maybe I don't have it set up, but I don't know why. But I've seen
It does I've seen it sometimes.
Yeah,
It does
I'm not
it
sure
sometimes.
why.
But see, that's the thing, and I was talking to Brendo about this.
Right.
You go on to Bing here, you have Copilot right there. You use these other platforms, you have the ability to use the LLMs, but now it's not giving you that overview for some reason on Google, which doesn't make sense. It's just not that accessible. Can you pull back that the web browser back?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's see what we got going on here.
By the way, Adara put in the chat that Caroline Levitt's stream just went live, guys. So if you're looking for that press conference, it's live, google.ca. There we go.
Yeah, there you go. Where's the Gemini thing? Where can I just hit Gemini?
Right there. I'm assuming here somewhere, Joseph. I don't know. Where the hell is it?
Yeah.
That's a great question. They're right there. Right
there it is.
There,
okay,
yeah.
but you would think it would be right here if you want to click search, you want to have Gemini right
agree.
there. No more blue links. It's a one search society.
Go ahead, Adara.
Keep an eye here on CRL Endpoint reporting that the FDA chief is apparently calling for a meaningful reduction of animal testing for new drugs. Charles River's Laboratories, they've moved previously in catalysts similar to this. They are still very involved in animal testing, so I guess a meaningful reduction of animal testing for new drugs might not be great here for CRL. Back to you again, Caroline Levitt, still talking.
Caroline.
Yeah, very
Crypto inflows.
Yeah.
Anything before to go?
Was that record crypto inflows?
It was quite close. So we hit about 1.04 billion in AUM, which is a record high. So there to answer your question. So crypto, go ahead.
Yeah, there's something happening with Bitcoin, I think. They're either compressing this price and it's just going to go parabolic, or I think it's going to sell quite aggressively. I don't know why it's not continuing.
Either of them is good with me.
Right?
Literally
you
either
buy
one.
more.
Yeah, I'm not interested in cashing out anytime soon.
Yeah.
So I don't mind adding, and if it goes up, it's just increasing my account value, so I'm happy either way.
Yeah, that's right. I'm going to ask Bing a question. Carry on, and I'm going to tell you what I'm going to
Let's talk about these crypto inflows. So crypto investments products saw $1.04 billion in net inflows last week, which was a well-shortened week, as you know, according to CoinShares, that is, pushing the assets under management to a record, guys, $188 billion in AUM for these crypto products. This marks the 12th straight week of positive inflows, with a cumulative capital since April now totaling about $18 billion. Not a bad look. Weekly, trading volume remained flat, though, at about $16.3 billion. That was in line with the 2025 average, signaling, I can't talk anymore, sustained investor engagement, at least in the crypto market. Let's talk about how that all broke down. About $1 billion of last week's inflows came from U.S.-based investors. It's very geographical here, led by the spot BTC ETFs from BlackRock, Fidelity, and ARK leading the way. Europe also contributed with about $38.5 million of inflows coming from Germany, and then Switzerland added about 33.7. Canada and Brazil were the outliers, kind of the opposite. They saw net outflows with about $29.3 million and $9.7 million respectively, indicating what some could argue mixed global sentiment. BTC funds pulled in about $790 million dollars, marking the fourth consecutive week of net inflows, but down, well down, in fact, from the previous week of $1.53 billion. In fact, that $1.5 billion was a 3-week average. So $790 million, almost half that. Ethereum, for the first time, though, outpacing BTC growth here. So Ethereum funds added about $226 million, recording 11 straight weeks of inflows here into ETH. And the ETH inflows, Joseph, average about 1.6% of AUM weekly, doubling that 0.8% of Bitcoin, signaling what could be interpreted as a gradual rotation towards ETH. You're not going to see me punching into ETH.
You're not going to see me gradually rotating into ETH. I'll tell you that right now.
I love. How do we really feel?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
I'll tell you that for free. There's no issues with that one, Sharif. But I've talked about this multiple times, and now we're seeing it happen multiple times.
Yes, sir.
So again, we get on this nice move. So then from March of 24, we consolidate within a 10K range, a little bit more than that, for about 8 months. We go on that move, we consolidate now for another couple of months, we sell off. We go on another move, we consolidate now, we're heading into 2 months of straight consolidation, and we haven't done anything. I'm really, really curious as why we keep going on these moves and then we consolidate for so long. I would rather see more consistent ebbs and flows of the price, but maybe that's it. So what did I do? This is the question that I asked Copilot. Using Bitcoin's history at its current pace, by the year of 2035, what is an estimate of the price of Bitcoin?
Oh.
Around 1.4 to 1.3 million dollars.
Whatever it
per
ends
coin.
up being, bro, I know where I'm convinced.
I'm
convinced. I've seen too much. I've seen too much.
Yeah.
How many times do we need to see other newer highs, prohibitively higher highs, before we, you buy in? I mean, like, I've seen enough.
Maybe I'm just trying to like thinking that it's gonna move too fast or something along those lines. Again, it is steady appreciation. If you go zoom out and look at it from a weekly standpoint, right? Like you can't complain about this whatsoever. This is some big time moves from 2020-22, but it's just before this is and by the way, this is right around when iBit came onto the market, right around this neck of the woods here, Sharif. This is when iBit was first IPO'd. And then now, sure enough, we didn't see the length of these consolidations, multiple before it was either optionable or you can actually trade it via the ETF. So that's why I'm convinced that now this is essentially being ran by institutions, and you have to be patient and work on their time.
Absolutely.
As always.
Absolutely. And the technicals here, what do technicals tell us? What institutions are doing.
Right.
So you get into technical analysis because you kind of want to know what the institutions are up to without them telling you, because they're not going to tell you, obviously. And this is the breaking, the fantastic look there. Adara, go ahead.
Yeah, just be aware here, S&P 500 getting a bit of a spike. That's because the EU, according to sources from the EU, this is being reported within Europe, will not be receiving the letter setting out higher tariffs from the US. So again, we know Donald Trump's been sending out a lot of letters for higher tariffs. According to sources from the EU, Europe or the EU will not be receiving one of these higher tariff letters. Back to you.
Look, okay. Hopefully they can get a deal done. We know that EU I think they started off on the right foot with Donald. They told him they wanted to make a deal, this, that, and the other. We still haven't heard too much about that, though, Joseph, so possibly.
Absolutely. And just before we continue with the news, Sharif, you've seen it across the board, right? Like, look at this volatility spike. This is all this is just pure lick grabs. It's just absorbing you. You're taking your stop. You're a conservative trader. You have your stop above the range. No, see you later. We got a volatility spike. We just grabbed everything, and then now we're gonna head a little bit lower. And you've seen that across the board on multiple names. The same thing with the Qs. It got me. And then sure enough, I had 66% of my position remaining. I got stopped out break even on it. So you take a small win on that one. But here it is. You punch through VWAP with that volatility streak, and then you head right back into the zone. So that's just as my guy Peter Tuchman would like to say, that's Wall Street absorbing all of the stops, and then they just head price back into the direction that they want to.
All right, last but not least over here, hims and hers. Where are we at today? Because we are down in the pre, and I really haven't looked too much at it. We're only down here 2 1/3%. We were off that $45 area, so we're well off the lows. So, yeah, Morgan Stanley issuing a hold rating on hims and hers, citing ongoing legal and regulatory risks tied to the compounding practices. So here's what we're talking about. So we're going to pause for a sec because Adara does have breaking news. We will go to her at the big desk.
Caroline Levitt here just commented on these other countries. Basically, she was mentioned, I guess she was asked, what are you going to do here? Are there going to be any more countries getting these tariff letters? Which countries will be getting them? She said they're going to be continuing to post on Truth Social, so be very careful, guys, in this market. We will continue to get tariff letters posted to Truth Social, as Caroline Levitt put it, in the interest of transparency. She didn't mention any other countries, but she said 12 other countries, in addition to South Korea and Japan, which of course we already knew about. They'll be receiving trade letters, but these letters are also apparently ongoing, and they're the utmost priority for the president right now. I also mentioned earlier today, Donald Trump signing executive orders at 4 p.m. Well, apparently that's going to be to delay the tariff deadline from July 9th to August 1st. That is what the executive order is about, according to Caroline Levitt, White House press secretary. Back to you.
Dara, mega. They're trying to pop back up, but keep buying the top. Thank you very much, my man, for the $5 super chat. Shout out to Mega since 1492. You're quite old. I just noticed that. Yeah. No, but let's go back for real, though. So the recent termination of the partnership by Novo Nordisk with hims and hers has intensified scrutiny of the company, approaching that 503A compounding of the GLP meds. 503A is the provision in whatever enabling statute that allows pharmacies to make these drugs when they are on back order. They're allowed to compound them in-house when they're back ordered, but when they're not back ordered and the company, the manufacturing company doesn't have them on the back order list, they're not allowed to. So it's a bit of a gray area here. Legal experts consulted by the Morgan Stanley analyst Huttenbach believe current laws may take years to resolve, injecting long-term uncertainty into the stock. Talking about HIMSS, there's no clear legal consequences on whether mass compounding of GLP-1s is compliant with U.S. laws, further clouding the company's future. So their moat being a question here. Deutsche Bank also reaffirmed a hold rating on June 24th with a $43 price target, which basically posits a $4 lower price than we currently are right now, signaling a neutral sentiment from the street. Both analysts appear to acknowledge the company's market potential, but view the legal drag as a valuation cap for now. So that has been kind of the thing here, Joseph. And these things are not cheap, man. The Hims and Hers subscription, we talked about this. Like $7 a month, $7 US a month.
That's crazy.
And when, but I got to tell you, at the store, guys, at the store, we're almost, I want to say every third is a GLP-1 now.
Oh,
every
really?
third prescription
really?
is coming in as a GLP-1.
No
yes.
way.
Yeah.
Have you noticed?
Not maybe every fourth. But like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
They're flooding in, bro.
They like real
flooding
fast.
in. Yeah.
Yeah. My curious as to what is the long-term side effects of this thing down the road.
Who the hell knows? They've been around for
I've been reading some articles, some people getting really sick off of this stuff and just saying, hey, don't.
There's a bunch of stuff going around. There's stuff that it affects eyesight. There was a study out in Europe that affected eyesight. There is but on the other side of the equation,
that's one of them that I heard was eyesight.
There is. So there's all the unknown stuff about it. The other side, the other unknown, is what else it can be used for. I spoke to you off camera. Addiction, alcoholism, obviously a very bad and persistent problem we have in our society. Apparently, it's being studied for its effects on helping with alcoholism. And obviously that again, so it becomes like one of these. Whereas what do we get bad with the drug, but what does the drug do well?
You know
what I mean? Like,
I mean, hey, by all means. You got to look at it from this perspective as well. To people looking to take the right step in the right direction, they want to get healthy, they want to shed weight, etc. Live just more of a leaner lifestyle, which is totally fine. But just understand that things don't come free. Everything comes with a cost. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. I mean, you just have to wait and see what these things are going to do to people. Maybe nothing. I could be totally wrong. But yeah, for me, it's just like I won't even say it, but Adara, what do you got for me?
We still do not have much clarity as to what countries are going to be getting more letters. Caroline Levitt was just asked once again, which countries is Donald Trump sending these tariff letters to? And she said, I'm going to let the president reveal that, quote, keep an eye on True Social. So again, we are going to be finding out what countries are getting, these tariff letters on Truth. So definitely keep your eyes peeled. Of course, I will, and I will let you guys know the second I see or hear anything I've been refreshing regularly. Back to you.
Yeah, exactly, Big Smile. That's why you just got to make it a lifestyle, right? Not just like something like a get-rich-quick scheme. And I feel that's what kind of it is. So 1,000% Ed Miller, and that's essentially what I'm getting at. There's more longevity in that, in my opinion, right? You could just see across the board, obviously, health is wealth, and we talk about that stuff all the time. You can see the healthiest people in the world get sick, but I think if you have the ability to just put yourself in the gym every day, physically exercise as much as you can, multiple times a week, I think that's going to add longevity to your life. And I mean, humans are living to 100 years old now, probably 80, I think, is around the average around here. So you're living a long time. You may as well just make it a lifestyle habit and not just try to get a quick fix and just kind of start to use these drugs. And that's just my opinion. I could be totally wrong. I know people use them for other reasons, and by all means, to each their own. But if you have the ability to do so, take the longer route, in my opinion. So yeah, that's just my thoughts there. I was just looking at the options chain as well too here, guys, to see if any size is picked up. I'm all out of this TQs for the whole week. I'm going to be fading any pops on NVDA, right? That's my game plan. And you've seen that it worked out earlier in the day. These These wicks are really annoying. You haven't been getting them lately, but yeah, there it is. So earlier in the day, and there's another one. So yeah, this was the short. It's always better to get in at the top of the range, sorry, and that's what I refer to. If you're range trading, then you just want to sell the tops, buy the lows. But at this point, you can see we had multiple touches of the volume weighted average price, and then the momentum really started to pick up. So I'm like, all right, let's punch in this one and then see if we can get the continuation. We head into VWAP, we reject it, and that's when I decided to add, but then sure enough, it squeezed another liquidity grab, and then that's why if you're sticking to the thesis, I gave myself a significantly better entry right here in risk to reward. So that worked out relatively well for us, but then eventually we just get stopped out, break even on there. But I'm short NVDA for this whole week. If we get any solid pops, I'm looking for indecision at the highs, and then I'm going to be looking to sell them. Big smile, eat mostly things with one ingredient and be active. I should have read it first, but I trust you in this was 7 months with that attitude, and now about 60 pounds down, and my blood pressure was 124/82, and I'm still 360. Wow, let's go, man. Yeah, there you go, man. Like, big dude, you should have played football
Takes a hell
at
of a man to
360.
change.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing, right? There's more longevity in that, and that's what I was just touching on briefly. I mean, to each their own, people use them for specific reasons, but being physical and just living, it's a lifestyle, and I think it's a great lifestyle to adapt because it changes you as a person. It truly does.
100%, guys. All right, let's get back down to business, baby. Let's look at these small cap gappers and seeing what's moving here. I'm starting to like the look of K&W's jib. Is that a thing? Can stocks have jibs?
For sure.
Yeah, well, we're going to give this one a jib, Joseph. I like this one for the respect that it had for the volume weighted average price and this 4-candle setup that it's got in Greensville right now. It's certainly not the biggest mover on the day, up about 25 and 3/4%, but this one could realistically test, if not break the highs at that 3 1/4. It's above 3, so it's cleared that first hurdle, being the whole dollar level. So K&W could be an interesting one for me to give this one the old college try. We'll keep an eye out on that. Separately, SY, one that we were involved with earlier. Again, I got out because that seller at 39 just couldn't get shaken. And we very clearly broke that uptrend. You don't need to be a chartered market technician to see the higher lows. And when they started breaking here with this consolidative look, I got the hell out of there. This one still can find support possibly at the volume weighted average price. So keep your eye on SY. But everybody wants to know what the hell ASST is doing. Well, it's still continuing to put in lower highs. What the hell, Barry? What the heliante? No, for real though, it's having trouble with 9. That fly, I'm gonna kill it.
Oh wow, what an episode of Breaking Bad, man. That is crazy.
I know you mentioned that already. Yeah. But anyway, this one is above the volume weighted average price, so technically still in play. Sorry to keep you waiting. Adair.
Yeah, just keep an eye here. We have more commentary on these tariff letters from Caroline Levitt. That is, of course, the White House press secretary. She was just asked, what's the timing? Are we getting any more letters or just the 12? She said we're going to be getting more letters in the coming days. Now, when asked why South Korea and Japan were the countries that Donald Trump started with, we did have Caroline Levitt say that was his prerogative. Those are the countries that he chose. Again, as I mentioned earlier as well, it sounds like we're not sure what countries are going to be getting the next letters, but there will be 12 more letters released today on Truth Social, and Caroline Levitt told us to keep our eyes peeled for Truth Social. Back to you.
For that.
Yeah, and Sharif pointed out we have a question here from Lele Berti. Joe, can you explain, Sharif and Joe, can you explain the difference between options open interest? Is it just contracts sale available to purchase versus contracts already traded? You're close. So what open interest is just the amount of current open contracts. So that means they haven't been exercised, they haven't been assigned, or they haven't been closed. So that it's current open contracts, all right? And then also volume, the difference between the two is the volume will reset every day, all right? The open interest will stay open for the duration, for the lifespan of the contract, all right? So every morning you'll come in and you'll see that the options contract volume will change, but as for the week or the expiration cycle, the open interest will stay as it is or increase and decrease throughout the lifespan of that contract. It doesn't reset every day. So we come in today, we see 90,000 contracts at 160. Unless it grows or decreases, tomorrow we're gonna come in and we're gonna see 90,000 contracts right at the market open, where opposed to the volume, it will reset every day. All right, so those are the two differences.
All right, guys. I'm thinking about punching into KNW over here because, well, the only thing is I don't like about this is the volume. Like, look at that. It's been stagnant there at 09s. I don't know, going on a few minutes with that same 3 penny spread. So this might not be the best one to punch into during that midday period when there's not that much volume on this bad boy. In fact, it does certainly have some selling at 10s. You can see that over here at 12.15, it rejected 10s. Prior bar rejected 10s. So certainly having trouble with that 10 penny area. Maybe wait for it to clear that 10 penny seller before you get back into this one. Let's look at some others that were moving on the day. WOLF, oh baby. This one is back into the highs. It's 3 pennies off the high of the day. This has been one of those ones where it has been putting in higher highs and higher lows. Ex post facto analysis kind of makes you feel that you should have been punching in at around that 2 1/3, 2 1/4. Those were the money fills. And there is the high of the day. It is back into 260 right now. WOLF, it's up 120%. It's going to break the high of the day if we can shake that 60 seller. So this one's on the warpath right now. Where does Wolf find resistance? Well, let's do a little TA over here. There's certainly going to be some selling, you know, to be expected. And there's the new high of day on Wolf, taking out 77s now, $2.77 new high day. So expect some selling if this one does work up to 3 because it's a whole dollar level, right? We usually get some psychological selling, but there is price action bottom right around this kind of, I want to say 3 all the way up to 3.5. Because we spent some time at around the 50 exponential moving average before we broke back down. You can see Wolf has basically been using that 50 EMA as a very obvious level of resistance, with the lower lows and lower highs being very much in play. The only outlying part that you can say it spent a good time here above the 50 EMA was back during that mid-October pump, and then we ended up breaking down below it in early November. So that's the outlier. Other than that, 50 period rejectment. I'm so tired.
Oh, man.
50 period rejection. 50 period rejection. Say it again, Neil.
Rejectment, yes.
Neil gets rejectment all the time. I don't believe that, Neil, but it's nice that you made me feel better about myself for that little faux pas. Oh, he's coming in hot.
Uh-oh.
What are you eating there,
Oh, in
Neil?
junior high, man, you used to get rejectment all the time. Not on the basketball court because I was like a Matumbo. But, you know, rejectment is a part of life. Whether in trading or whether in general, me at the club, little rejectment here and there.
Oh, boy.
What?
I'm tired, man.
It's all good, brother. We're back. Look, it was crazy. We're back in 10 minutes. Neither one of us has finished
How's
our
the
lunch.
meeting?
Oh, we just finished our meeting. We got to finish our lunch here. Lunch is actually not bad. This little Greek chicken thing they got going on. It's just a Greek salad
people,
with.
baby.
There, it's like a Greek salad. I don't know what you call this little.
Looks good. That's what it is.
I don't know what this is,
Yeah, exactly.
but it's delicious.
looks
It's
good.
tasty, but I gotta eat.
All right.
Don't get rejectment on Wolf.
You took my joke. I was going to say, back to our regularly scheduled rejectment.
Oh.
That's going to be a word now.
Reject.
That's found its life of its own. No, for real though, getting back to TA, the 50 exponential on the daily on Wolf has been an obvious level of resistance. Rejection over here, another one, yet many more. And here we are again, breaking above it by some distance. The question is going to be whether we can close above it or what the situation is. And you also have to employ whatever I use this as a 3-period rule. What do I mean by that? So you can clearly see there are times where it clears the 50 exponential on even a closing basis, like this over here. Like we're looking at it, closed well above the 50, only to have the subsequent day retrace all the way back below the 50 and then continue to sell off. So John J. Murphy, in his book, Technical Analysis of the Financial Markets, he posits a really good idea. If you're looking for confirmation that a key area of technical resistance or support has been taken decisively, you can employ one of 2 rules that he posits, the 3% rule or the 3-period rule. The 3% rule means that it has to close above or below that key area of technical support or resistance by 3%. Super simple. The 3-period rule means that it's got to close above or below that key area of technical support or resistance on a 3-period rule. Now, why do I say 3-period? because some of us chart on a daily, some of us chart on a weekly, others chart on the 4 hour. So whatever you're charting off, make sure it's consistent and use the 3-period rule. And in this case, is a perfect example of why you should be using that rule. You get a nice clearing on February 20th, a decisive clearing. You close near the highs as well, which was followed by a big uptrend of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 green days in a row. And then subsequent day, you end up, lo and behold, selling right below that. So employ these, little tricks of TA to kind of gauge, especially for swing trading, I think would be super important here. So anyway, WOLF, expect some resistance at 3 and then above maybe into that 350. I only trade 0 DTE 5-minute trades, by the way. Shout out to Mega since 1492, another $5 super chat. Thank you very much, my man Mega
tough.
there.
That's tough, man.
That is pretty crazy.
That is pretty tough. That is.
Have you ever traded 0 DTE?
Yeah, I experimented with the 0 DTE.
And your
world.
experience?
It was not fun.
Give us the honest.
Oh, yeah. So essentially what happened was when I was just at home trading on my own, I actually like this story. I'm glad that you asked this question, Sharif.
Hear it.
And it led me to learn a lot of things. So I was trying to write 0 DTEs, right? Okay. So I would use my delta. So let's pull up the options chain here. Sorry to digress a little bit. So essentially what I was doing is I was trying to write 0 DTEs using my delta metric, right? So like here we got the 0 DTE and I would use my delta here. I would go up to these 10 deltas and you would collect a couple dollars. It's nothing substantial, right? So on this contract, you're collecting $10 per combination. So you would have to sell some of them. So for me, what I found was when I would write these contracts, as you get closer to the end of the day and the expiration cycle stream, what happens is the gamma really starts to increase, and then you get these fluctuating moves, and it really moves the value of the contracts quite a bit. So when I was trying to write the 0 DTEs, because you're at that expiration date, the gamma, you get any form of a move, it's at its greatest, and it's moving extremely fast. It increases. So it caused me a lot of trouble, and I would get squeezed out of a lot of trades, even though they may have expired worthless just because I'm using my delta metric. But what happened is I found that I didn't have the ability to sit through the volatility and by writing, I'm not saying by buying, I'm selling options now, right? It's a totally different ball game. I just didn't have the diamond hands to sit through the volatility, because if I were to be wrong, I would have been on the opposite end. I would have been assigned some shares. So there it is. I would have been assigned some shares on whatever way. But again, that's quite a bit. So that's why when I was experimenting and I tried it multiple times, I found a little bit of success. But I found in the long term there was no longevity for me to write 0 DTE options using my delta metric.
Understood, man. Right? Thank you for letting everybody know about that.
And for those who don't understand what my delta metric is, right? You can see here is that what we're looking at is you could use it as a percentage gauge to where that contract's going to expire. So you can see we have the Qs here, 548. That's a 9 delta, a 0.9 delta. So that's essentially telling us that this contract has 90% chance of expiring in the money, right? And you can see where the Qs are trading at right now, right? So if you just pull up the Qs, and you can just use this as a gauge as well too. So by the end of the day, there's a 90% chance that contract, that this 9 delta contract is going to expire in the money. Where are we trading at? 551. So the options market is essentially pricing in that we're not going to go any lower than 548.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Does the higher delta strike price almost equate into higher premiums because of the likelihood that it does close in the money, or does
exactly.
Okay.
Yes, very much so, right? So as you can see, as we go down the chain here, Sharif, the premiums are increasing.
Interesting.
Right, because that is in the money. Those contracts are in the money, so you're paying for essentially that one-to-one. That's when you're ultimately leveraging your system, right? So for every $1 move in the Qs, that you'll see essentially $100 change, a $98 change in the pricing of the contract.
Fascinating.
Right? And then you can scroll up, and then you can go like, okay, look at the inverse of that, and this is what I'm referring to with writing and using 10 deltas. So 554, the options market is essentially saying, hey, we're not going to close above 554. So it's the opposite of that, right? So there's a 90% chance that the market does not close above 554 on the day, and then that's what I would use to write my options using 0 DTE.
Leanna, you asked for it, you get it. Rejectment.
Rejectment.
Word of the day. It's getting written down now. It's going to be used consistently from now on. Rejectment. Anytime.
Yep.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish.
Yeah, anytime I get stopped out of a trade.
Rejectment.
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 Anytime, hold on, something happens at the gym I don't like. Rejectment. So shut it. Losing my mind today, bro.
$5 another mega cents 14.92. Master only SPY 0 DT in the 0.15 to the 0.2 range in less than 5 minutes. Anything less than that, 0.15 is gambling. Fair enough. Okay. I see what you're getting at there. Fair enough. I understand what you're saying. So you're looking for anything around this, but that's not even worth anything now. But maybe it don't. But yeah. So that was my experiencing, and I tried it too because I'm like, hey, is there any form of consistency in that? And with that being said, when I started to write options, I would use weeklies, but it took me a long time to realize that as you get closer to expiration, gamma starts to increase, and the fluctuation really starts to increase in the volatility on those contracts, because you could gain 90% of the value in the first couple of days, and then sure enough, the last couple of days it goes against you. And that's why when I collect 75 to 80% of the premium, I just close those contracts. But it's also almost better to just go further date, extremely further date, like a month out or something along those lines, to reduce your gamma exposure. And then what that happens is you collect the premium, half of the premium, you just close that contract and roll it over. Because the closer you get to expiration, I'll say it one more time, the more the gamma increases and the chances of the contract fluctuation significantly increase.
All right, let's bring in the trustee side charts over here and see exactly what's still making a nice move up. So look, it's VIOT. That's still doing really well over here. It's been a really good day for this one. I want to say the money fills have been off the 20. We were involved in this one multiple times into the high of the day. It really hasn't had an opportunity to break $3, but it is up a very healthy, almost 64% today. Volume has been a little bit light on it, but it hasn't been bamboozling. There have been one or two outliers. When you print the high of the day, it does retrace. So VIOT still in play. I want to say VOR as well, another one we were involved in, but certainly finding a little bit of a lower high here at about 287 and change, dropping back down to that 2 3/4. I'd be looking for me, if I was looking to get out of this trade, you're already getting a lower high. Now I'd be looking for a lower low. So that would mean a breach at 265 on a closing basis gets me out of VOR. Wolf, though, looked like it was setting up short. I saw you guys. You guys saw in the chat, you guys saw the topping tail candle into 277, a big move down into 250. What you guys forgot to look at was where the price action was relative to the moving averages and the price action resistance and support. And you're still decidedly above that 250 area where the 10 EMA is hanging out. In fact, you're at a perfect area over here because this is the former area crest, right? At 255, we couldn't close above 255 until this candle over here closed at 277. So you're holding from the lower end, you're holding previous area of resistance, you're holding a support. Now, does that mean it's a glowing endorsement to take this long currently for a break of 277? That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, you are finding price action support at a previous area of resistance, and that's what we look for the predictability or lack thereof of some of these small cap gappers. The more predictable they are, the more comfortable I feel sizing into them. The ones that are not predictable, that find weird areas of support and resistance, I'll trade sometimes, but with way smaller shares, hard to manage risk on those ones. So WOLF, I want to say a bit more predictable than others. ELPW. This is my biggest winner, easily on the day, into 277 high. Now, that was as good as it got, and it's been lower low and lower high since that time. Now we're well below 2. We're barely holding on to the volume-weighted average price, but there have been buyers here off VWAP, at least for a scalp trade, because you can kind of see the trend is still very clear of lower lows and lower highs, despite the fact that it found support there momentarily. Joseph, are you guys looking to trade futures like the Nasdaq, the SPY, or even Bitcoin? If you are, well, Top One Futures is one of the fastest growing prop firms out there. They give traders the chance to manage up to $1 million in real capital, and you choose your own path. You can choose the instant funded option, you can choose the challenge option, or even the PRO or the pro account, and start trading your way to real payouts and even a live account. In the last 90 days alone, they've paid out over $10 million and they've earned over 1,000 5-star reviews from real traders. So if you're interested, use that code TTV, that's code TTV, to save on any account from the previous 3. Scan that QR code now or head on over to top1futures.com and start trading, Joseph, towards your next payout. And as I see that a 1 and 14 beside it there. So add that one to the piggy bank.
But they gave us a minute there too.
They always give us a minute. We're just busting
guys,
some
man.
chops.
Yeah, we're just
Tienemann's
busting
back.
chops, man.
He's got the coffee. He just scarfed down the lunch. Neil did a little scarfing as well live on camera. They're good to go. They're ready to go, and hopefully we'll be able to eat a little bit as well, Joseph.
Yep.
We're just gonna wait a little bit to the Tienemann gets set
I'll
up.
tell him, I'll tell him a little bit about what's going on in my life. Right now, I got to go to the. It's not that deep, by the way.
I was like, whoa.
Yeah, no.
We're closing out the show here.
No. I got to head. I got to take the old vehicle up to the approved mechanic there, and that's essentially what I got going on for the afternoon.
I like that, Joseph. I like that. Myself, I've been trying to sell the car. So there's like this thing in Ontario, the province that we live, that you, for people who are selling the car privately, they got to get like a or what's it called again?
What was it called? You know
what I'm talking
about?
The seller's package. Yeah, so it gives like the liens on the car, if there's been any damage, all comes from the ministry. I know you guys have Carfax. We have Carfax too, but this is like one step beyond that. So now the guy that I'm holding the deposit from, and I've been holding it for a few weeks now, he wants that. Now he's back from vacation and he wants to move on with the deal. Hopefully we can get the deal done so that we can roll up in a SIBE, but we'll have to wait and see. Exactly.
You're ready. Are you ready?
I just got to get the car sold. And
and then you're going to start.
Funny enough, I went on the inventories for Tesla to see what Cybertrucks they had. I don't know if the website was glitching or what, Joseph, but it said they had no inventory, which to me doesn't ring true at all.
That doesn't make any.
Right,
what's the most upgraded Cybertruck called
again? The Cyber Beast.
The Cyber Beast.
I'm not going to get that. It's too expensive.
Oh, is it?
It's $175.
Oh, okay. I thought you were that guy.
Joseph, I need an explanation, and we didn't build it today. We're gonna send it to you in a second, Tienemann, but I need an explanation as to why the lease payment on a 48-month lease, not with zero down, $7,500 down for the American, but it's over $2,200 Canadian for a lease, bro.
A month?
And in the States, you put $7,500 down, it's $750 a month for the base.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Like, man. Elon, why do you hate Canada, Elon? Like, we gave you a home here. You got to learn here. You came from South Africa. You lived here. You used public assistance money to kind of get your full, and you're going to poop on Canada like this, Elon?
Yeah. That's why you got to buy the cars cash.
Hey, I'm not buying that car cash. Are you kidding me?
Straight cash, homie. It's
you don't want to buy that car cash.
No, I bought my car.
So I bought my car financed. Right? And when you have to sell the car, if it's not a big mover, it's going to have a heavy rear end, and you don't want that heavy rear end, right? So you want to be able to get rid of the car. All right.
All my BMs.
4 minutes, Joseph. 4 minutes. Count the time, baby.
Big cash, homie.
Big kahunas, that way. See everybody at green screen.
Welcome back, everybody. So the first thing that just came to my mind was, does Joe know where straight cash, homie, comes from?